forgot that I changed the intro there, and I was surprised to see myself on it. Hello, and welcome to the TheDimStream. I'm Beverly, and this is Alex.
Hi.
It is pouring down rain right now, so I have no idea how my internet's going to hold up. My guess is poorly. It'll hold up poorly. Hi, Steph. Oh no, I do see that this is not streaming to Rumble right now, and it took like a minute to say, "Hey, Rumble's not working."
So yeah.
Cool. Well, that's good. Let me see why. Off to a great start. My content should be going. Edit. I'm pretty sure I changed the RTMP. Missy's freaking out now.
Yeah. Hi.
I don't even know how to
me.
find. I have no idea how to even get to the streaming information now on Rumble. File. Do I want to go to file? Nope, that's not it. I want view logs, embed, total view. I have no idea. Wait, nope. How do you get there? All right, maybe I go to go live. And then, yes, there it is. I found it. So let me try this again on StreamYard. Oh, wait, I almost exited out of this stream. And my keyboard has like stopped working well too. So it's getting sticky again. All right, StreamYard. So today is the Thursday, January 19th. 2023 while I try to figure out Rumble. Oh no, I guess it didn't copy correctly though. No wonder it's not working. Maybe I just didn't do it. I thought I did. I wonder if I can do it now, if it'll work now. Maybe I have to undo it. Broadcast, edit. Let's undo, remove, and then we'll add it again. Maybe I just need to do, ooh, that was thunder. Or lightning, I mean. Okay, now let's see. Will this work? It might just not. I might just have to wait till it pulls. Oh, wait, something's going. Can I hit live? No. I have no idea. So I guess it's just going to have to pull it later. Sorry, everyone needs to come to YouTube, though, because it will not let me, like, fix it.
All right,
so.
let me write in there. YouTube.
YouTube only today.
Not working. YouTube.
Which is a shame, because Rumble's the only one that can get the super chat things to it.
Yeah.
Man, this is, wow, this is, I hope the geese are, I mean, they love the water, but it is just like, in January in Pennsylvania, where it's just like a thunderstorm right now. So are you only on YouTube? Apparently, yes, Steph. Apparently, this is YouTube only. That's unintentional. But that is, I do hear Katie. Hello, Wallace. Return of the Revenge of the Dawn of the Sticky Keyboard. Yeah. Well, I don't even know if it should be considered sticky. It's just like ghosting me. It's not doing like the letters when I type it for a while. Okay, so I've got the Le Voyage dans la Lune for the trip to the moon and the Great Train Robbery. Oh, hang on. Yes. The power might end up going out. That's true too. So this is a total possibility of happening. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
If we do, then we'll have to push it. Sorry, Johnny boy. Yeah, Rumble is not working, and it would not let me fix it. I put the RTMP to change it, but I guess once it's going forever. It's gone forever.
It won't let you start.
Yeah, which is annoying. Okay, so before the power goes out, do you want to talk about Steven Crowder first, or watch one of these things?
So I don't have any. Well, I did post one thing in the news section. It was like the very beginning of one of his
the Twitter.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
It's like his Twitter thing. Yeah, I didn't want to do this.
they don't get deals that
they can be wage slaves for a little bit, come over and make a salary and grow their brand. They can be wage slaves for a little bit. They can be wage slaves for a little bit.
So that was Jeremy Boring, is that his name, from Daily Wire?
From Daily Wire, yes. Talking to him. At the what happened is that Crowder made a video wherein he didn't name a company, but he read terms from a contract that he felt was horrible. It was a terrible contract for a creator, like a content creator, especially if you were conservative, because of it was punitive. The contract, which was not a big tech company, was punitive against the content creator for strikes and like any kind of ban on social media and stuff. Like you would and in the double digit percentages losses of revenue for the content creator, which that's insanely high. First of all, because it could go up to like 80%. Like, say if you hit all of the different like revenue losses that they suggested that they would lay on you in the contract, it was like 80% loss. And if you're talking about something external, so say YouTube strikes you, that's a loss of 25%. And the company decides, not YouTube, the company decides based on the fact that YouTube did that they would take that money from you, that it's 25% loss of revenue for you as a creator. And I'm like, hearing that, I'm like, that is outrageous. And not because it's so outrageous to me because of the fact that YouTube, like I've been a YouTuber for a while now, and I am now, like I said yesterday, facing this problem where they're retroactively like add restrictability, like all my content that has too much swearing in it and everything. So and like when we worked with Unsafe Space, there was a week where we couldn't do anything because they community struck us on a year-old video.
Year-old one, yeah.
And I'm like, and they changed their rules and they post they post those rules on your past content. So that's when it comes to business, that's terrible. Like, just you as a creator to a platform, like having to deal with that. And all the social media platforms do that, where they're like, well, the new rule is this. In the past, you did it, even though it was okay then. It's like the state can't get away with that. If the state makes something illegal, they can't charge you for having done it in the past, unless they are like a horrifically tyrannical government, then they'll do it. But if they do it, like everyone, that like in American law, if a lawyer would get that thrown out real fast, like, oh, they did it before it was illegal. You can't charge them for something that wasn't illegal at the time that they were doing it. And that's essentially what a lot of the social media platforms are doing to people. So you can't be safe. You have no idea what's going to come down on you at any point on these social media platforms. So as another party to a go-between to a content creator and saying that I'm going to punish you if you violate one of their rules, like that's when they're so unstable like that, that's just bad business and it's unethical as hell. And so I'm like 100% on Crowder, and like it has nothing to do with money. Like the revenue loss is bad, but if it was punitive in some other way, like we're going to end your contract if this happens, or we're going to pull your show if this happens. Like, I don't care what the punitive reaction is. The company pulling a punitive reaction for a big tech, even ex post facto rule application, or an uneven application, or you don't even know, because we've gotten YouTube rules and I've asked them what part of this 2-hour long video is the problem, and they don't answer. So how am I supposed to change my behavior if I don't even know? Like, there's so many reasons why being punitive based on that is just stupid. And it also feels a bit like punishing your employees. Like, you're not standing behind your employees. And supposedly, when you're talking about content creation, you should all be on the same page from like a, not necessarily ideology, but like thought process, and like what kind of content you want to create and everything. You want to be on the same page, and what you think content means and who owns the content. You all want to be on the same page. So to me, this idea that you would throw them under the bus like that as a content creator is just outrageous. I just find that insane. I would never work with a company that does that ever, like who doesn't stand behind their creators, even if they disagree on fine points of the conversation. I wouldn't be okay with that. But like, so it was never, for him, it was not about the terms as applied to him. He was like, he called them after the negotiations stopped to talk to them about if they apply these rules in their contracts to other creators. And Jeremy said they did. And that's when he said they have to be wage slaves for a while. And I'm like, I'm okay with being a wage slave for non-creative content, but for creative content, no, that's not okay with me.
What do you think? I mean, for people who are like, yeah, I am okay with being a wage slave. I mean, like, because there's the part of like the business can say like if these are the rules that they want to say up front though, and like, okay, by agreeing to this, you're agreeing to say like the content belongs to us though, and so you can either say okay, or
You
like,
can.
no, I want to do
I
things
don't
on my
think
own.
people. I don't think people should say yes to those rules. I don't, because they can be a little hard when you're talking about, especially ideas you might want to continue in some vein. Like, for example, if we're talking about podcast content kind of things, if you said like, say you had a saying that you said a lot, like I would say that free speech doesn't mean the First Amendment. Like, that's something I say a lot. If someone said, well, that's ours now. And I'm like, no, that's just a thought. That's not like, it, like, it's an idea that I have that I'm going to continue to have. It's a principle of mine. It's forever going to be part of my life. And they say, no, you can't say that anymore. That's ours now. Like, that part is where it's like, it gets a little too, like, I don't know, like too slavish to that idea. Like, the specific episodes, maybe that's probably reasonable, but the actual like minuscule ideas, like, no, you don't get to just keep every single idea. I also have a problem with it for people who are creating non-fictive fictive content, because say you're making like a TV show or a book series or whatever, and they decide they just don't want to do it anymore, but you still have episodes you want to do, or more books in the series you want to do, and they basically tell you can't.
You can't. Yeah.
They're not going to publish it, but now you can't take
But
it
you're
somewhere.
not allowed to either. Yeah.
I have a serious problem with that, and it's why I tell people, no, don't let them. I don't sign a contract like that, because it may screw you. You think you're getting a sweetheart deal, but they could just say, whatever, we're done.
Which I hate. I hate so much when it's just like, well, we're canceling it, but no one can ever, even movie. What, there was some movie, I forget what it was. I heard it on the radio. About like that they filmed the whole thing, but then like something happened with the rights and whatever, and so they just oh, it was like something kind of silly though too, and they just shut it all down, and like they didn't bother trying to like sell it or anything though. It's just like it's a fully made film that like, no, it's just not gonna, and that happens frequently enough too. Like you
That
hear about
breaks
other
my
ones.
heart.
Yeah.
It hurts me. Like, someone said they literally had a 3-book series that they were going to publish. They got a 3-book contract. The publisher published the first one and then refused to publish the other 2, and wouldn't let them take it somewhere else. And that breaks my heart. I don't care if it was a bad book series, even. Like, maybe it's not good. I don't know. But that's, I don't know. It's like, feels like murdering someone's brainchild. It's so horrible to me. So I tell people not to sign contracts like that, because I feel like it opens you up for a heartache you're not going to be prepared for.
I would never want to, I mean, like, even when I've thought about, getting more into like script writing in the past, where I was like, I don't know, trying to figure out what do I want to do with my life. But I had always thought too, it's like, I wouldn't want to sign over the rights, or like I would still want creative control if I had like a script being made about something. Cause like I also didn't like the idea of like, well, we're gonna make these changes. So like, well, not without my say. And I would probably also say no, because like I wrote this specifically to have this is what I
Yeah.
had in mind.
That
But
guy, Ben Delicio, that I interviewed a couple of times on Unsafe Space, he literally self-publishes just so he can maintain creative control the whole time.
Right. Yeah, and so that's what I'm so concerned about, that idea of like, oh, like having anything else where they have the control. But I also think that that is common though, when you have like musicians and stuff too. Like you hear about like whatever artist, like, oh, here's the album that we only had like 7 songs on it, but I made 20. But like these other the rest of them, they just might not get heard. They might get leaked or something. And I always think like, why not just make them into another album? Like, why don't you just take that extra money, or you release them digitally? Like, it shouldn't be that expensive. Like, if they're already produced songs too, like, why wouldn't you just do that? And then you have Tom McDonald, who does like, self publishes the music, and does like 5-7 albums or something a year or whatever.
I know, like the thing is that like a lot of people say, well, this happens all the time. And I'm like, that doesn't make it right. Like you say, like, oh, this is the way of the world. That's just status quo bias. And I'm like, that doesn't make it okay. And that's what like just kills me about this, is that it is happening to a lot of people. And I'm glad that Crowder's not like okay with it. Like he basically said, that he didn't want this to hurt smaller creators. He didn't want this and I consider it predatory, honestly. I do. We're going to make money off your content for a couple of years, and then to me it reminded me a lot of when I was in grad school and I was applying for actually academic jobs, and all the academic jobs were for adjunct positions, which are single year contracts, or even just single semester contracts that may not be renewable and come with absolutely no benefits, shit pay, but you may have to teach like 50 students a class. You may not even get an office. And I was like, and some of them were like requirements, PhD. And I was like, what? and when I talked to some of the schools about this, they were like, well, it's an opportunity to get your foot in the door. And I was like, I literally wrote about this for the Chronicle of Higher Ed. And I said, it's an opportunity to get exploited. They're using you for, I mean, especially if they're asking for you to have a PhD and not giving you your value. And to me, I'm sort of like, this is a lie. The whole, we're giving you an opportunity as a leg up, but we're going to punish you at the same time if you make one mistake that big tech doesn't like. That's just bad. That's bad. You're treating your employees bad. I'm sorry. I don't think it's ethical. I just don't think it's appropriate. And Crowder did not name them. Like I said, he didn't name them, but Daily Wire outed themselves. They did. And then
yeah, because
did.
Jeremy Boring, didn't he like respond or something?
He did. And the problem is that that quote that he played in that clip was from a conversation he and Jeremy had after they were done with his contract negotiations, which fell through, wherein he was saying, you wouldn't do this to other smaller content creators, would you? And he basically said yes, that he would keep their content in perpetuity, which is not a contract Crowder has signed before, by the way, and that So that meant like if you had a show name, they would keep the show name. They would keep the episodes. And like I said, that's a dangerous prospect from a creative standpoint. And then they would also, and then they would punish you if you screwed up, which I'm putting in quotes because I don't really consider it a screw up. It's not really in your control whether or not you get dinged at this point. So I just, he plays that clip because Jeremy came out and said, we offered him $50 million. And it's like, clearly, if he was still asking questions in regards to other content creators, this was no longer about the money for himself. This was no longer about himself. It was about their business and how they comport it. And I don't agree with it. I definitely don't.
Yeah. That's why I think there's a difference between like, well, should they be allowed to, as the business, to like have their own rules and do it? Sure. Is there like, but is that okay from like an ethical thing? Like, is that the way that we want our culture and society to go, and how we want like to censor people or not? So I think those are separate issues.
Yes.
So then like, yeah,
Like,
I think that. Okay.
You're allowed to do it, but
yeah, but it doesn't mean like
someone
it's
calls you out on it.
Yeah, like people can
Yeah.
criticize it or think that it's a bad thing, but then you can also just say like, yeah, like, well, that's how we want to do it. But so it's a matter of I guess also like figuring out, and if a lot of people are upset by that and then that hurts your business in the long run, like, okay, but then that was the choice that you wanted to make as well. So
Yeah. What I find funny, like, I don't think it's right from an ethical standpoint. I've made that very, very clear.
mhm.
I don't think it's a smart decision for a counterculture as it kind of is right now, because most of culture is controlled by left identity politic like ideologues, and they're trying to be counter to that. I don't think it's smart to do that. One other thing though is that a lot of people are mad at Crowder because he talked about it at all, and I have a real problem with that call for leaving business private. We shouldn't. If it's because this is how scammy contracts get to continue, is that no one talks about it. Yeah. Okay. Like if I don't warn you about the bad contract at this company, then you might fall for it, you know? If we don't have a discussion about it, then people fall for it. It's go ahead.
It's probably, I was trying to think like, okay, like where, if it seems kind of iffy and when you talk, but I think if you're like you are working with them and then you're talking about them while you are like contracted with however it is, I would say like, like maybe you shouldn't do that. But if you're like, we did just talk about it, I'm not working with them, I can say what I want about it. Or even if like the contract ends or whatever, like I used to work with them and now I'm not, and now I am speaking up about why I don't appreciate those stuff. Like I think that's probably at least more respectful, or like even if you think that the company really sucks or something though too, but it's just a matter
I wouldn't
of like,
badmouth the company I work for. Like,
right,
yeah, one I want to work for, I wouldn't do that because it's just a dumb thing to do. Like it's really dumb.
That could just hurt you later on too, because like other people would be like, oh wow, like she said this about that, where like, and I'm worried about her coming to our place. Like what if she bad mouths us, even if we're like totally okay, but she just like, oh, she felt like that we wronged her, so I'd be concerned too. And that's just like a general like where I don't know, like as a reporter, I have a lot of people, they'll say things where like, like they'll say too much though. And like, oh, but like it's like off the record or that's what I'm like, yeah, no, like that's fine. Like, and then I think they just kind of like open up a little too much. I'm like, I'm not planning on that. Like, no, like I'm what you want to put it, like I'll do that. Like I'm not
what
here
you want to
like,
say initially.
yeah. And so and that's one of those things too, where it's just like, and people, that's why you have like this is off the record. And and there isn't like from what I read, because I was trying to look it up to see, because I was just curious. Like I didn't plan on it. I wasn't like I was trying to like, oh, can I get away with this? It was just curious, like what are the legalities or not? And it's not like illegal to post like print something that they say, but it's just like, well, they're not going to want to talk to you anymore. If you like say something, they're like, "Oh, I didn't
True.
want this printed," then that's what hurts you then, as like, and later on that word might spread too. It's just like, well, she like blabs about things that you don't want printed, so like don't talk to her. So
And then it's also a question of principle as well. Like if someone says something to you and then they go, "Oh wait, I didn't actually want you to say that. Like I'm saying that to you. I don't want that in the paper." Then
yeah,
like
and I get that all the
it's
time where they're just
yeah.
like, "Oh, I misspoke," or like, "Or that came across wrong. Can we like say it this way or something?" Like, I had the one girl, she was a traveler. She's super nice, but I asked her like how like a certain question, and she was just like, "What do I have to disclose that?" And I was like, "No, not at all. Like you don't." And then but she kept kind of being worried about like what she was supposed to like get information she should give me or shouldn't and stuff too. And I was like, "Whatever you want. Like this is totally like this is to help like you
Yeah.
out and to kind of build up." It was about like travel being back to normal and internationally, and also I'm like, this is a way to like freely publicize your business too though. So it's like I'm not trying to say things that like will hurt you, and like we can say whatever
Yeah.
you want, and I can like phrase it because like I'm trying to help like local businesses and stuff too. So it's just, but people do get like nervous or they try to like say things, but then realize like, oh, I phrased that poorly. I'm like, that's when I don't quote you directly and I just say they said this thing and like kind of
Yeah, when
paraphrase
you
it to like get the
paraphrase
pointer.
it to a much
Yeah.
better. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I do that like all the time too because it's just like, man, that was confusing. Like no one or sometimes when I'm like, I'm not sure exactly what they were trying to say, like during a meeting or something. So I am gonna just quote it exactly. So I don't have to like figure out like you guys can figure out what they're saying here. Like this is what they said, whether it made sense or not. I'm not gonna touch that.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
hilarious. But I
but
mean at the like there's the to me the problem is like what they're legally allowed to do makes applying something that is legal to something that is ethical is an appeal to state theism. And I'm not a
yeah.
state theist, so ethics and legality are two different questions to me. And I think it's
Yes.
unethical for for Daily Wire to run their business this way with creators. I don't like it. I would never work with them. And it was funny too because people were like, well, they kept bringing it back to his specific situation. And I was like, he wasn't talking about him specifically. He was talking about this as terms they give to any content creator. So don't think about the specifics when it comes to how much money they were going to give him, because that was not the issue on the table. That was not what he had a problem with. And I think he did do it pretty ethically by not saying who the company was, honestly, in the first video, because while he didn't say who the company was, he was basically telling them, I would like you, they knew he was talking to them. I would like you to do business a different way, and I'm willing to work with you to help you do business a different way. There are ways to scale this up ethically that doesn't hurt your content creators. And also warning content creators who listen to him, saying, this is a bad contract. Don't sign this contract. It will kill you. And so a lot of people don't know what a bad contract looks like. They don't think about it. They just see those dollar signs and they see an opportunity and it allows them to be exploited. And they don't have the money for a lawyer. Crowder has the money for a lawyer. He does.
Yeah.
But a lot of smaller content creators don't, or they have a bad lawyer, and they don't realize what a bad contract looks like. Him showing this contract and showing what its terms were and why they were so damaging to a content creator, him or anyone, was good. I think that was a good thing to do. And he did it without naming them. He never named them. They outed themselves, which I think was a really dumb thing to do, honestly. It was not smart at all, because that could have just flown under the radar.
Yeah, because like he's just saying this generally of like, here's what you want to watch out for when you're going to sign a contract with someone. But I was wondering too, like when he played that recording, because then that, I mean, I think it's mostly just in a legal sense, like, so it becomes like a ethical versus legal too, where like you have can you place a recording of something when it's only one's like it depends on the state where it's like the one
Yeah, it does depend on the
I
state.
forget what it, but I think that only matters when it's legal. Like you couldn't use it in a court or something though. I don't know what the rule is as far as just like
I
publishing
do
it
think
somewhere too.
Yeah, publishing it is different than whether or not you can use it in a court of law. That's
Yeah.
true. So, and it kind of, and honestly, this might be on a federal level because one of them might be in a different state than the other, and that might
Mm.
change the rules too. It might, he could have said at the beginning of the conversation, this is going to be recorded and it might be published. Like, if he said that, then he's essentially golden. I don't know, or like he could have made a stipulation that on any of his phone calls that they may be recorded and published, which would indemnify him from being, sued. It really would, like, you could sue him, but you agreed to the terms by continuing the conversation. And so to me, I'm sort of like, on that point, he did. I watched the Wander video, and he does play like Wander clips from that conversation, by the way. And the conversation is definitely not about him specifically. It never is, and it's not about his contract. It's about, is this your normal business practice? That's what the whole conversation is about, and that's essentially what Jeremy Boring said. Is that yes, this is how we handle stuff for smaller content creators. And I'm like, that's a shame. I just don't like that. And like I said, they could have flown under the radar. He never would have played that audio. He was not going to play that audio, but they outed themselves. So he's like, fine. And they also lied. They said that his problem with it was they were like, oh, we weren't giving him the things he wanted as monetarily. And that's like, no, it was a clash of principles is essentially what happened here. And Crowder was like, I'm not comfortable working with a company that does this. And so unless you strike these things, I'm not gonna work with you. And I think Daily Wire pulled the contract negotiations because those were a deal breaker, essentially. Like some of the things that he wanted them to pull from the contract were a deal breaker. And it's like he negotiated with them. I don't know. I just think it's so bad.
Yeah. I mix up who's who. Oh, go ahead.
Well, as William said, yeah, he didn't sign an NDA about the contract, right? Legal.
Yeah. Yeah, let me scroll back up. I've been ignoring what happened earlier. It sounds like Crowder. It sounds like they wanted some extra money from the creators to us of modern big tech or a joke. They often don't even tell you why something was demonetized or removed. Better. Yep. Is he the one warning about the conservative stations trying to make you sign the contracts and how they can fine you?
Yes, that is that's who they're talking about.
That's right. I'm thinking, yes, yeah. Actually, it sounds like they wanted to insulate themselves from YouTube trouble at the expense of their creators. Yeah. Who needs
Except they wouldn't need to give them revenue percentages to protect themselves. You can indemnify yourself from the content creators you label Daily Wire, well, without taking away their revenue.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Who needs due process when we have private companies assessing our guilt of innocence by retcon? I like doing that in real life too. So totally unrelated, but I was going through all my old paperwork and like high school stuff and all that. And there's my friends and I were like weird, but we had like this drawing of this old man, and he was like a pull string doll too that we had, and they call it, I think my two friends, they named him like Make Albert Swirl, but I was like, I should be Swirl Me Albert. And I don't remember why it was called that, but then I just wrote like a bunch of like inappropriate dialogue that he said when you pulled his string though. So it was
God.
No, no, actually, it wasn't old. He was a regular man. I did different versions of like baby Albert and old man Albert. So I did but anyway, so I was like texting my friend about it. I'm like, hey, look what I found. Like, here's this. And I was like, I still think it should have been Swirl Me Albert. And she's like, was I against that before? Because like, well, that's what I think when I think back on this. Like, that's the name that I imagine though. So like I remember like it's written on here, make Albert swirl. So it's like it ended up not being like, I know that like they didn't agree with it at the time, but I was like, it's okay. We can retcon and just say he was always Swirl Me Albert. So I just like retconning in real life. Like, nope, that happened.
That's hilarious.
Where else are we at? Or racist.
I think they actually said fascist, but it autocorrected.
Oh, fascist. I like, yeah, either one, you know, same thing, really. They just throw out whatever words you want. It reminds me of comic book creators. Anything characters they create while working for Marvel or DC belongs to the parent company. Also, speaking of which, John Delarose, JDA, he just flew down to DC area today. He's going to be on Timcast tomorrow. So it'll be tomorrow night.
Oh, wow.
I
I
thought it was
know
going to be
Crowder's going to be on
tonight.
Timpool on Monday.
Monday,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's at least John can get there first though, because then you have to follow Crowder.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
I wouldn't want to follow Crowder right now. He's
Yeah.
headliner right now.
McFarlane sat on Spawn hard before making Image.
I think
What?
he's saying that McFarlane
Oh.
wasn't.
Spawn was a thing. Okay, like
Spawn is a character. Yeah.
Yeah, I got confused because I didn't connect that at first.
Yeah.
I hate that argument. Someone in the past did a bad thing, so it's okay now. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we were kind of talking about that yesterday, right? Too. I mean, not
Yeah.
exactly, but like in a similar thing of like, oh, it happened before. Good thing we don't do that now, or like, good thing everything's okay now.
But I think this might be in regards to the whole thing about you can't ex post facto apply a law to someone having committed something in the past. So, like, say that you were selling pot in the 1860s. It wasn't illegal then. And then they made it illegal and they decided to charge you, but you had
because
stopped.
you did it before. Yeah.
But they're charging you for when you did it in the past. That's ex post facto application of the law. It is highly illegal in the U.S. And it should be grounds for contract violation, I think, because how do you predict the future? That's the point of ex post facto as a defense in legal situations, because you can't predict the future.
This is really good advertising for like the fortune tellers and other professions like that, because then they're like, that's why we're here. We can tell you these things.
Oh, did you know you can limit what advertisers are allowed to advertise on your YouTube channel?
I did not know that. Oh.
So I watch my own YouTube channel to like make sure everything is like running correctly when it's on. And you know, like I look at my shorts every day because sometimes my shorts YouTube like doesn't allow comments on them, and I don't know that until it goes live. So then I have to, once I check it when it goes live, I go in there. So I watch it, but they're all monetized. So like an ad plays beforehand. And I was screaming like almost every time because it was environmental activism ads. And I was like, go fuck yourselves. I was so angry. And so then when I discovered I could block things, I decided to block environmental activist ads just because I was sick of seeing them myself. And I was like, they're stupid anyway. They're so stupid. And I was like, it's my channel. I don't want to be associated with it.
I didn't know you could do that. And another thing I didn't realize you can do, I just found out that I think with Rumble, I was supposed to click on it and then you hit go live. So you could like, it didn't automatically do it. You have to do it, but I already ended the stream on Rumble and it's going to be like going, in the middle of it anyway. So just whatever. I'll pull it. But I was like, oh, okay. Now I know for the future when it struggles, then I have to actually manually do it, apparently. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I still don't have like YouTube ads anyway, but like yeah, they don't have any at all, right? If you're not monetized. So at least I don't have to worry about that. But like whenever you see like the dumb, I wish I could do that with like Hulu and stuff too. They used to maybe like on the computer, they used to be like, oh, I want to see more ads like these. But when it's on the
Yeah, they
TV, like you
did.
don't have the option. So I don't even know if the computer does it anymore. But I'm like, I'm tired of seeing the same stupid New York ad about getting the jab and or like similar things to it that I'm
Yeah,
just like, I
that was
don't
the
live
other
in New York. If I even cared about it, I don't live there.
that was another thing is that I bought pharmaceutical ads because like
Yeah.
so I bought that and I bought reproductive rights ads because I was so sick. I just was sick of hearing about it. And it's like, and I believe they're mostly predatory, those three. And I think they're lying, from all the research I've done. And it's like, I don't want to be associated with it. Other people can be associated with it. That's fine. You can probably find their ads on YouTube. That's fine too. You can watch them. And just, I don't want to see them myself. And I don't want to make money off of it either. That was the other thing. It was like, I don't want to make money off of something I don't believe in. Like, that's
Right.
terrible. I didn't want a part of it. And what pissed me off too is that they were all unskippable, and I don't turn on unskippable ads on my channel. And I was like, how are you sneaking this past my so I'm like, maybe if I get rid of them, I'll also get rid of the unskippable ads that I didn't want in the first place. Which I don't know what's going on there. Some kind of weird trickery, like, you will watch this. And I'm like, I really don't want to.
Oh,
You froze for a moment.
Um,
So you were just smiling at me.
I
It's a
could
little
hear you. I mean, it's like kind of roboty, but like I was hearing it, and then I was just like, "Am I here?" All right. Let's see. $3,000 a class, 5 classes a semester, overloaded classes.
Yeah,
Oh, was that
that's
the
academia.
yeah
When I
with
was
the
talking about looking
mhm.
for a job in academia.
If they mention your firstborn or ask to sign in blood, might want to get a second opinion. Never get a second opinion. Just like with doctors, you don't need second
Mhm.
opinions for anything. Go with what they say the one time, and then when they change their minds later on and retcon and act as if that was always what they said, you just believe that completely too. So it's
Yeah.
easy. I think you're right to disclose what he was asked to sign. Yeah, when you didn't. Yeah, especially without the NDA and everything. I don't think that's why it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like not necessarily like unethical or illegal, but then there's some things where it's like, oh, was this like I can't think of like classy or like was this kind of like oh because it's just sort of like is it a little bit icky how it goes down? So there's just certain ways of like of tact, I guess, like doing
Yeah.
something tactfully.
Like I said, though, I feel like the privacy around
Look at your
contract
shorts.
negotiations, the whole like people calling for privacy around contract negotiations and employee contract negotiations is how people get screwed.
Yeah.
Us not being able to talk about it for a polite society reasons, I'm pretty sure business is totally cool with that lie because it helps them out. And I'm like, I don't know that that's like necessarily the like. It's like who benefits the most from that? The people who are offering the worst terms. That's who benefits from that. So I'm okay with being maybe a little icky over talking about bad contracts.
Yeah, and sometimes you kind of have to like sometimes there isn't like a good tactful way to do something, but the information needs to come out and it's gonna be messy. And so like that's what I'm like, if you can, and probably like I would try. I mean, because I'm just so non-confrontational too, but it's like the information is important, but then I also don't like to upset people. So then it's kind of like trying to find that balance. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, I guess as far as just like owning your own content, like I've always been really I don't know, like concerned about that too, because it's like even with like different video, like even with unsafe space, when I've kind of like, oh, if I do something, because when I talked about because we discussed like other things that we might do or like sketches and stuff, but I also wanted, and not just for them, but like another friend, like when we were doing like videos and stuff too, I'm like, hey, but stuff that I write, I also want to like put my stamp of like my like, you know, production or whatever for it too, because but I don't mind like if it's in conjunction or even like secondary, I just want it on there like to show like this is also
you want
um
credit.
yeah. And so but then I didn't mind like sharing it, but then I also want to like I want to keep some sort of use for it too, as it's just like you know, a joint effort. But that's like I've never been comfortable with the idea of like, oh, this what I make is going to just solely be like for this thing here though. And honestly, that was kind of a concern with Unsafe Space too, because like that was just like a casual thing that like Carter had mentioned about that, and like but he's been very chill about like, oh, like hey, I don't even have my brand on here. I just realized no either. Like, do I have that? Yeah, that's what it's supposed to
There you
be.
go.
Um,
He has
but
been chill, and that's why I've been willing to work with him.
yeah. And I
Like,
asked like, can I continue? Can I take the name over? Like, can I use it from Unsafe Space and move into my channel? And he didn't care about that, and he's done the same thing with previous people too, or
yeah.
like who have gotten to keep stuff there. And so he's
When
been
it
like,
comes to like ideas, he's very like it was your idea. You know, like he's like, yeah, it's fine. Like him having the specific episodes is you know, Unsafe Space owning the specific episodes is not that big a deal when he's so chill about the whole you know, oh, go ahead, you have the show. You know,
right.
like that makes it a lot less scuzzy.
Mhm.
And it's not like I don't know, it didn't do it for me, like shove a contract in my face that said I gave up all these rights or whatever. That
Yeah.
didn't happen, which made me feel a lot better. Like he wanted to act ethically, and I took that as a sincere intent from him. And part of the reason why is that then he didn't shove a contract in my face that countered it, you know?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and if someone says, we're a sincerely ethical business, and we believe in promoting ethics across the country, and then shoves a very unethical contract in your face, maybe they don't.
I mean,
You know?
especially anyone who says that, like, that's also just a thing where, like, the unsolicited, like, maybe that is, like, I don't know, even if that's your, like, motto or something, the fact that you say that, like, just hearing it, or like, I'm a nice guy, I'm the good guy. Anytime someone says, I'm the good guy, like, you're probably not. Like, if you feel the need to say that out loud, though, like, even, like, in whatever movies or something, when even if they genuinely are, I'm like, it just comes across poorly. The Santa Claus is one that comes to mind when like the elf unit or whatever comes in, and he's like, "Don't worry,
We're the
Charlie,
good
we're the
guy.
good guys." Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, now I just don't trust you. Like,
Well, yeah, I know. What was it? I thought of something where that happened, and I can't remember what it was. Ah, it totally flooded my head. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like it sounds insincere. Oh, yeah, I remember. It was Google. Google's slogan, or at least it used to be their slogan, was "Don't be evil."
oh
It's
yeah,
one of the most evil companies.
right. Projection much. That was their slogan to themselves. They kept trying to say that, like, we need to stop this. Like, but we're not
Yeah,
going to.
I know.
Um, who's it? I thought the off-brand unsafe. The wait, that this we are off brand.
This show,
Yeah, yeah.
we're all.
It's off brand, like, we're slightly cheaper, and, like, you just move some of, like, change some of the letters, though, too, like, the off he's an ANCAP, but he doesn't believe in MP. Huh, I don't know exactly where he stands on that. He did text me earlier today, and he said, let me find it.
I don't know. I
Um,
need to watch the book club for Atlas Shrugged to see what he thinks about IP, because
I
that book is very much about your mind and the production of your mind.
Oh, yeah. I was, because I read it. I remember I was one of
I
the only book
just
clubs
read
that did it. And
it.
I forget what he said, and it's so long ago now, but he said, "I know what to get you for your next birthday," and then let me see if this
I
will focus. There
can't
we go.
know.
Essential
Essential
oils of the Bible.
of the Bible.
Connecting God's word to natural healing. And I was like, Ew, I can't wait to rub Jesus all over me. And he said, and someone also quoted, I think, Cartman, right? Maybe, or somewhere. Oh no, it was Bart Simpson. I mixed up Bart Simpson and Eric Cartman. He said, as Eric Cartman famously sang, I'm going to get down on my knees and start pleasing Jesus. I want to feel his salvation all over my face.
I love that episode. It's so funny. Man, these boys love Jesus. They really love Jesus.
Essential oils of the Bible.
What the hell is that? What is that content?
That's why I'm hoping he'll actually get it for me for my birthday so I can learn, so I can find out.
That does seem like something you might actually enjoy because it's weird.
I've got too many books though. That's an issue. Again, watching Marie Kondo. I guess if we can transition, unless there's more about Stephen Crowder, I think we kind of got our points across.
Yeah, I think so.
I finished up the tidying up with Marie Kondo, and again, I was thinking about like what you said too about the about people complaining about her, and like she specifically, the one girl was like, I want to talk to you. I have this dress that my grandmother got me. Like I've had it since 2006, but like it was like I just remember this event, and Marie's like, oh, like is you're close with your grandma? She said I used to be. She passed away. Or whenever it was, maybe she passed away too, whenever it was that she passed away. And so she was just like struggling. And Marie like specifically said, this whole thing isn't about forcing yourself to eliminate products that you have. It's about like figuring out what do you want out of this, and like how to continue like moving forward in your life. Like, is this something that you want? And so like it's the whole thing about like molding to what you're looking for as far as like tidying up your life. She's never like, you need to get like, you have like so many clothes you need to get rid of. Like she's just the most understanding person of like, and she'll say like, I'm so glad that I got to know what you're looking for now. Like I'm so thankful that I understand more about you. And
I
so
appreciate the fact that she's not coming at this as a one size fits all approach. That like there's a way everyone can take part in it, but it won't look the same for everyone. I think that's amazing and accurate to how you should apply most things to your life. So, I mean, that makes her a lot wiser than a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. And she's just the cutest person. But hang on, let me say hello to Devon. I went to college with him, so then I need to text him back. I'm sorry that I haven't texted you back yet, though. Just stopping by to show support for the channel. New Pokemon TCG set drops tomorrow, so I have to do a live stream. You too. Check out Devon's. He's talking Pokemon. That's me. I've got my Pikachu phone case here. So, but yeah, the other thing too, I want to say I was wrong about the yesterday when I hadn't read the article that I mentioned about like, oh, the privileged thing about Marie Kondo, like, oh, this is for privileged people, and I didn't say rich. I thought it did, so I misremembered that. But I read through it today. Like the point, she actually is a fan of it, and she was trying to say that like it's easier because like growing up, it was just like you like they recommend like, oh, getting rid of like chipped plates or but like when you're poor and you're like, well, I can't, and like I can't get new stuff though, like I have to keep like the kind of the ratty things that I might have now, or it's just like you take what you can get. And she said that like now that I have a more comfortable life, it is just easier to be able to like decide like what to keep and get rid of though. And she wasn't thinking privilege as even like a wealth thing. She kind of had it as a different sense. So like but she did get a lot of like flack for that use and whatever. But like when I read like she's a big fan of Marie, like she really appreciated it. And so it was just like the phrasing, and I'm like the headline, and it was the article about her writing a different article, and I was like, I think you guys just like phrased, like you kind of came in at as this like a misleading sort of headline here.
I have noticed though that it's not just like, oh, you get rid of chipped plates, and you can't do that if you're poor. But there are a lot of poor people who take free stuff they don't need and just keep it, like a lot of, and so then they end up with a lot of stuff.
I have too many couches.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. Something like that.
To keep giving couches. I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then we'll take this next one. And sometimes we get rid of it. But now, yeah. So it's just
I mean, I still haven't gotten over it. Like I have pillows from 5 years ago that I just need to throw away And I keep forgetting to do it. I know I need to do it because they're not being used. So, but they're in my closet, and I'm like, well, they're wasted in there. They're collecting dust mites. They need to go in the trash. And I know I kept them because I was like, well, maybe I'll need them because I'm poor. And I'm like, if I need more pillows, I can buy more pillows. I'm not poor anymore.
I'm not a pillow person. I don't like I don't like the
No,
ones
I'm
that
just
are
talking
all
about
over the place.
no. I'm not talking about throw pillows. I'm talking
I
about
know,
regular
yeah, but sleeping ones,
pillows.
yeah. So that too, that's what I was gonna say though. Like I don't like throw pillows at all. Though, or my cousin, she was talking about a couch that she got that's like deep, and then the pillows that they have, it's actually to help make it less, so you can just sit on it. Otherwise, you can like kind of
Without
lie,
sinking and being
not even
swallowed by the couch.
not necessarily sinking in, but like just as a backside, so it's like an extra, so you're
Mm.
not, so you can like lie back, kind of like a chaise sort of
Yeah.
thing. So then with the pillows up, and I'm like, that's a lot more like useful though too. So it's, you can either have a chaise or you can just use it as a regular couch. So I'm like, that is practical. The throw pillows, like I'm just not a fan. And then when it comes to like bed pillows, here's the thing about me. I'm pretty sure I've been using the same pillow for years, and I'm pretty certain it's the one that I've had since I was 8 years old.
Do you know how many dust mites have been in
I
that
know,
thing?
but like I've washed it and stuff too. I don't know how dirty it actually is still, but because I'm really picky about pillows, and and it's so flat now, but that's what I like it, like, flat. And I can never find like a new pillow and I've, because I've gotten other ones too, but I'm like, no, it's too fluffy, it's too squishy. The other one is like too thick, it's too like whatever. I haven't found
Like
one, and I'm a
Goldilocks with
terrible,
your fucking
yes,
pillow
a
here.
terrible sleeper. And I've had that same, and I've like different pillowcases. I've swapped that out and like washed the pillow and stuff. But like, yeah, I've had that for 22, 23 years. I've also had, and I still use it, my Pokemon blanket that I've had since I was 8 as well. So I'm pretty sure my pillow used to be a Little Mermaid pillow. That was the case.
Oh my god.
But
That's insane. I
I'm
thought I was
tired.
bad in having a pair of pants that I got in high school that were hand-me-downs. So I don't actually know how old they are. Like at least 20 years old, maybe
Yes.
more.
I still, I mean, there's somewhere around here, like those are things because I stopped wearing jeans, but I do still have high school jeans and stuff that when I was wearing jeans, I was still wearing them. And then, but then the skinny style came in too. So I wore the flared less, but now flare is back because of like the 90s and style and everything too. And well, it's like the mom jeans, but like I think they're going to inch into the aughts. But
I had some mom jeans back in college that I loved. They were like really wide leg. They were the most comfortable pair of jeans that I had. And then the zipper broke, and I was apparently not as skilled as I am now with a thread and needle because I didn't replace the zipper. I just threw them out. Now I wish I was like, I could have zipped those up, but I could have like taken out the zipper and put in a new one, but I did not do that. Now I'm angry about that. Because I loved those jeans.
How do you even do zipper? I have no idea how to, like, even when they pop out or it gets out of alignment, like I'm so baffled by zippers.
When they break, like you can, there are some times where they break in a way that they cannot be fixed. Like teeth come off, so then in the middle or something, so they won't go up and down anymore. And then you have to you know how like if you look on the inside where the zipper cloth attaches to the fabric, you rip the seams off of that part. You buy a new zipper that you can get like in a fabric store or a sewing shop, sometimes even Walmart. Some Walmarts have a fabric section, and you can sew that in. It's hard to sew in a denim though, because it's so thick. You need a really thick, strong needle to do so, but you can do it. You don't need a sewing machine to do it either. You just have to your hands have to be so kind of strong.
Okay. Yeah, when I sew, I like to just do hand sewing anyway. Like I've sewn a dress and I want to do more, but I don't know. I like it by hand just for the sake, because I'm like, oh, I'm sitting and watching TV and it's just like relaxing. And I think I have like I do have a sewing machine I've never used.
I don't have a sewing machine. I sew by hand when I need to sew, but I hate doing it, not because of the act of doing it, but because my eyesight's so bad that like I'm like,
yeah.
and so then I get all this like I get a headache by the end just from like trying to focus this whole time.
Have you tried doing it with your eyes closed?
No.
You should consider that maybe.
I think that might be a bit bloody.
I know I definitely like poke myself now and then because I'm just not careful enough. Okay, well, we should probably get it. Well, let me catch up on chat and then we can go into these, at least the videos that we're watching. I got two from that are like 20 seconds long from like the 1800s, like the OG ones, and then the 15-minute
really short.
minute ones. Yeah, both of them are about like 15 minutes or so. So it shouldn't take too long to power through those. But let me make sure. Johnny Boy said there was an evangelical preacher, evangelical preacher. I like evangelical. That sounds grosser. Evangelical preacher who did infomercials on TNN in the 90s, and he sold magical Jesus juice in small vials. I did not expect to be reminded of this. Jesus juice. Sounds so tasty.
What the hell was supposed to be in that?
No. Like, if you thought it was literally Jesus too, like what part of his body, like what did they juice him with? Don't need no abadabbas, don't need no almond joy, nothing but chocolate cheeses for this boy. I don't even know that reference. I have my couches down to 3, thank God. It was 5 in a futon for a while there. I have 3 currently, but yeah, one's in technically the dining room, in the living room, and then one's in the what we call the Penguins room because it has the strip of Pittsburgh Penguins lining on the walls. I want to feel you deep inside me, Jesus. Would you say that's gotta go?
The Penguins.
You don't like that? It's just the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's my hockey team, though. I'll say, I guess, if I had to choose a hockey team, I like the. I mean, near
I know
Pittsburgh.
you're talking about like updating your place.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, no, everything's gonna go. If I update it all, I will. I'm just saying that, like, if I had to choose a hockey team, I would root for the Penguins if I cared enough. The other ones we've got. This is the deer room because of the deer, the Penguins room, and then the wolf room, and it's just like a bunch of wolf wallpaper all around now. And then, so the Penguins room is disappointing because I wish it were literal penguins to keep up with the animal theme. Then the back bedroom has it's like horse hoof or horse shoes lining at the top, and then like the towel holder in the bathroom and the paper or the toilet paper one, they're like bear design, like, so it's like a bear holding stuff. So it's not my style, but I have never updated it. So someday when I have money to do it, I fight with throw pillows in my couch. Hoarders unite, yes, Johnny Boy. Why is Paul's calling you an amateur? I have work years back that don't fit and are falling apart. I'll get around to throwing them out eventually. And that's why I was trying to watch Marie Kondo to like be inspired to like, hey, let me like I have too many clothes, but then I'm like, they all bring me joy. I love all my graphic tees. I love all, but then I've got like they're getting holes or like stains and stuff, and I'm too short for flare jeans. See, I'm too tall a lot. Like I'd have to get the long ones, and so the flares will like go up to my ankle, and it just looks dorky when you're like not going all the way down. Just looks like a long skirt. Ooh, an afro. So one of your couches by hand? Evan Gel Liquor. Yeah. Hello, my name is Evan Gel. Tom Waits song. Very good, very reverent, very fit. Oh, okay, nice. I do like Tom Waits. I haven't listened to him, but the little I've heard in the past, I liked. Okay, I don't.
G-Man's in chat.
By the way,
yeah. Did you see the latest chat?
Oh no, it just popped up now. Okay, hello G-Man. Did you hear what Wizards of the Coast is doing with D&D? Not recently. I mean, they've been going downhill for a while now. So tell us. At the risk of causing domestic friction, you can frame old t-shirts if you like the pictures on them. Risk of causing domestic friction. What I want is to change them into a quilt. But we also don't need more
Oh.
blankets either. We got too many
Oh.
blankets. But, like, I have all
Well,
these
look at
t-shirts that I wanna be turned into quilts.
well, if you turn it into a quilt, you can get rid of one of your blankets that doesn't mean anything. Donate it.
Do I have blankets that don't mean everything is so sentimental to me, so then just, like, every object that I have, like, even toys or something, like, "Oh, my friend got me this," or like, if several
No.
friends and all that, so I'm just like, "No, I don't talk to you anymore," or, "I do talk to you, but, like, this is still cute." Um,
Sorry, no one gave me a blanket ever, so I don't
really?
have any
My mom is
sentimental
the one who's
blankets.
been like, "I've got evolution blank." I've got actually I do have 2 evolution blankets because my friend, she got it for me for, like, Christmas and accidentally ordered 2 of them and didn't realize that she just thought, "Wow, that's pretty expensive for a little blanket," but I'm like, "Whatever." And so I ended up with 2 of them, but yeah, so I think mostly it's my mom, and then I think there's other yeah, I think that might be no, and then, like, other family members, like, the Ginger's mom has gotten us, like, little throw blankets and stuff, so, um, and then I just like, "Oh, but they are comfortable." The Ginger got me a blanket for Christmas too, like, it's so soft and I love it, but, like, we have too many. My mom's made like, she, crocheted me this, really cute, like, pastel sort of rainbowy blanket and stuff, so, like, yeah, I
My
try to cycle through using them all, though.
It seems like every year around Christmas, they didn't do it this year, thank God. My work sends me another throw blanket. And I'm like, how many do you think I need? Because I have 4 from you at
Maybe
this
they, like,
point.
say that, like, you get rid of the old ones or something, maybe
I
they
don't
cycle
know.
through. I
And
got
they're all
one
branded with the company
yeah, I
too.
got one too from one of my old jobs, though. I forgot about that because I used it outside. It had, like, a waterproof side t and then so the geese were using it. Like, I'd sit outside and sit with them when they were little because they'd wanna sleep in my lap, and then they'd poop and stuff, so then I was just, like, sitting on this blanket.
Although
Um
got a throw blanket with like a an like a scoop on the end of it, so like it
mhm.
like
So you can
from a
fold it
family
in?
member. So it already has a fold
Yeah.
essentially sewn
Mhm.
into it, and with like this nice like fleece lining on that part. Um, and I got that from a family member, and I'm like, this is my favorite throw blanket. Because of this feature. This is the best feature in the world. Then why didn't everyone put this on their blankets?
Ah.
These
'Cause
things
sometimes I
keep
wanted to,
there, they
like
get warm.
yeah, I
It's
don't know
not
if I
tight either. It's very loose, so
mhm.
like you have room to move. Like it's like a foot and a half of a fold, and it's wide, so it doesn't feel like you're like constricted in there. And Lily likes to get in it. She thinks it's
I
the
didn't
most
yeah.
amazing thing ever.
And then you combine it with a Snuggie, so then you just have, like, the arms for it, and then you've got the little yeah, I think make that. Why haven't they made it's like a sneed. Um,
Like
but
my
yeah,
feet get really cold, so like
mine t oh, yeah.
it's
My
so good for me.
hands and feet, but, like, my fingers will get so cold and kinda like that. The ginger hates whenever I touch him ever though, because 'cause they're just always freezing.
I know I even touch my friend, like give him a hug or something. He's like, ah, about my
Uh-huh.
hands. He's like, God,
That
what the fuck? Were they in the freezer?
that is what it always feels like, and I know I think it's just such a, like, a girl thing, like, we all have terrible,
Like
circulation for whatever reason.
for our feet and hands.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm not always constantly cold, like, I guess a lot of but because 'cause I'm not, like, teeny tiny, I've got warmth here. Um, what else here? Happy medium wall tapestry, yes, great.
I'm like, wait, that.
I said, "Old friend, do you have that old blanket I gave you in grade school?" Apparently, "No, I gave it away, old friend." Which is untrue, though, again, I have the same blanket that my dad got me when I was 8 of the Pokemon blanket, so it's all the OG Pokemon, and I still love it, still comfortable. Single-use throw blankets, think of your kitty when regifting. Single-use blanket, like, I already sat on my couch with this blanket one time, it's been used.
I
Uh
have a throw blanket, all one of the work ones I got, like all folded up on the back of the couch. So like, oh, it's in, but like in a square, not in that way that some people do it, where it's like spread out like a
oh, yeah.
design thing. And so it's like in this fold, so it's almost like a pillow at that point. Lily loves getting on top of that thing. She's like, this is a nice comfy spot specifically for me.
We have so many.
She
I don't know
loves it.
how anyone else does it, but we have like we have a chair, couch, and chair, and then like each one has its own throw blanket on it though. Because then we're sitting, because then sometimes it gets chilly, so then you like put that,
My couch has 2 throw blankets on the back. My love seat has the awesome blanket that I got from the family with the footy thing, because that's where I sit, is the love seat. And then I have 3 throw blankets up here. 2 of them I bought. They're big ones that I wanted for my bed because I don't like comforters all that much. But I also have one of those heavy weighted anxiety
Mhm.
blankets. I love those because I
It
love
actually
the weight.
makes me nervous because like
Really?
you read about it and then you're like, well, if you need to have the appropriate weighted one, or else it could like, well, I'm scared that the blanket might hurt me or something. Like if it's like what's inside it. Like we have one, but I'm just like
Well,
nervous
I
about.
don't. I know. Like part of it has to do with your lungs. Like what is how's your lung
See,
health?
now
Like,
I'm terrified more.
but like I've always loved the feeling of a slight weight on top of me as I lay down. So I was like,
Oh
maybe
yeah,
it'll
yeah.
help me sleep. So I got this one, and it's when I first got it, it's this. There's a bunch of videos of me streaming with it in the background on the bed, and it's this furry red one, so you can't actually throw it in the wash. I have to vacuum it. And
Uh,
at first, you could see in the background as I'm playing video games, Missy like walking around it because she's like, "What the fuck is this?" And she's like, "I don't like it." And then like, I swear to God, in the first week that I got it, she was like licking it, and then she threw up all of her food on it.
oh my
And I was
god.
like, I can't throw this in the wash, you bitch. What did you do that for? So then I had to spot clean it, and like it's like you said, it's furry because it feels
Mhm.
nice. And I was like, oh god, took me so long to clean it, but I did get it clean. But I was like,
Hilarious.
oh god, she's so mean. There's all this blank laminate floor she could have thrown up on
I
that would have
know,
been
that's
so
what they
easy
always
to
do.
clean.
Like, there's so many, like, empty space everywhere, but, like, the thing where I'm like, "Oh, I set what bag or papers or something that happened to be in that spot now," like, and you go and you puke right on there, like, "Wha." I
Missy
forgot to.
puked on recently on one of my like I don't have a lot of copies of hardback books, but hard copy books. She threw up on one of my books.
That's what they do. That's why I
Yeah.
was so nervous. I mean, like, with LCPing everywhere too, I was just, like, trying to pick it because I had, like, books spread out, like, "Let me pick up
Oh yeah.
these though, because I don't know," and, um but I she coughed up hairballs, like, everywhere though too, so it's just, but it would be on blankets and stuff where I'm like, "Oh," because I had another one, I have another throw blanket on the piano bench in the living room. We're just like, "Everyone keeps giving me blankets and I like them and I don't know how to, like, keep them all around," and, but, like, I just, like, in the mornings, I'd see, like, "Oh, there's a couple hairballs on there now that I have to, like, rewash this, clean that up," and, everything. Okay, well,
Let's do
so
the yeah. I
I've
knew like
got.
I had a feeling you were gonna pick this one because it was in Nope. They bring it up in
Oh,
Nope.
yeah, yeah. Okay, that wasn't my intention. It was just it's the earliest one, so I figured, like, we can start off with that, or one of the earliest ones, but, which I never noticed because it's all, like, black and white, and my brain doesn't do it, so I never paid attention to that the guy is black.
Yeah, that
Um,
the jockey is
I
black.
just kinda thought, like, it was the lighting or something though too, where it was just like, "Oh, it's, like, kind of all silhouetted and, like, everything is just in that way." So I never thought about, like, just, like, consciously thought about, like, what race this person is, because it was just kind of like you can't really see a face or anything, so it was just like, "You're not really a person." So I just never thought about it. Um, okay, let's watch. It's only 30 seconds. And I think it's silent too, so we can talk over it because, they didn't have sound back then. But look at him go. See,
Yeah.
it has like a, what's it called when you do the paper animation thing when you, like,
Yeah,
flip
yeah,
the paper?
yeah. The flip
Uh,
book thing.
yeah, mhm. which I always
Well,
loved
I mean, because
those.
that's essentially the same technology that
Mhm.
film was working on was,
Right.
individual moments of the action all put together, strung, in motion.
Yeah. I mean, and that's
It
what
works.
everything is, and that's how, like,
Mhm.
animation, I think what they usually do, like, a frame or it's one thing every 2 frames or something out of, like, a is it 20 like, if it's 24 frames per second or 30? I forget what animation usually does, but it's just kinda like, yeah, it's just the quick kinda stop motion, like the flip book thing, and you just have it
Yeah.
continuously going, though.
I know
And we have
all my videos are 60 frames per second, and I've taken some of them and exported like a section, like 2 seconds of section, which is like 120 frames, to each frame being its own like picture, so that I could animate it using rotoscope. And so yeah, it's like that's essentially how frames work.
I love stop motion, like, I've done a couple, maybe we can play it later on too, I need to see what it but I've done, like, paper ones, that I cut out or, like, I think I did it, like, on a wall, I did it, like, as a birthday card an animated birthday card, and just cut it and, like, I took a picture each time and, like, moved it, like, the tape and stuff on it, so I'll play it because it's short, but let me see, Johnny Boy said, "I bought an old hag blanket. It's so heavy that it crushes your chest when you lie in bed under it, you can even feel your soul being sucked out of your body by the hag. Old world craftsmanship for the win." Weird. I do so that's what like, I agree with, like, having the, blankets. I usually have, like, 5 on me, so I like having that weight, but I also like having the warmth. So sometimes, like, even with the weighted blanket, I'm like, it's heavy, but I'm still cold. But then if I have more blankets, then it's gonna be too heavy for me. So that's what like, the weighted blanket doesn't really work because I need more
in
warmth.
in Phoenix in the summertime it gets too hot for an actual blanket. Like
Oh,
it's not
yeah.
about maintaining heat, it's about that weight. Someone
Mhm.
gave like I was staying in some casita for vacation like in northern Phoenix, and there was this like essentially horse blanket it as one of the throw blanket on the bed, and I was like, this is amazing because it wasn't retaining any heat, and this was in the middle of the summer, but it was heavy, and I was like, this is perfect. I want to take this
Yeah.
home.
And horse blanket, that's so relevant to what we just watched.
Yes.
Um, aloha, Elias, welcome. Um, we, it's fun I love that, like, we can keep talking about blankets, like, all night long. Let me go through, like, all of the blankets that I have and changing stuff into quilts and everything. Um, yeah, as far as that first film, like, I forgot about that and note, though, and it was just interesting to hear, like, the history of the like,
Although
again
the history that they said in the movie wasn't 100% accurate
I
because
figured they have to embellish or make it dramatic to
they
you know.
don't I think who the jockey was is not clear.
Right,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and they said that they were related to him, right?
Yeah, that's what they said. They said it was their
Okay.
great 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 grandfather.
Yeah. Oh, that seems like too many grades. It's not that old, right? 18 what was it, 1870 something? Um, but, yeah, so I just generally, as far like, technology is, like, uh, demon magic that too because, like, even, like, when you're recording audio and how, like, they could do it in, like, pots when like, in the clay pots and stuff when you just have like, how records work and you're, like, in your e engraving. I still don't super I can't I mean, I've learned it and I can't remember how they work now too, but, like, when you just have, like, the sound inside these things, I just think that, like, it's underappreciated because, like, you don't really have to think, especially digitally when everything's digital now, which I think that's crazy too, though, and it's just like, how is so much information in this tiny little, like, SD card now?
Yeah.
I'm like and the fact that it's just like, here's this image that you're taking with all these lenses and stuff, and somehow it, like, took it and the window that it's seeing, it imprinted it onto this like, and it, like, saved what, like, my eyes are seeing, and it saved it, and it's just in my camera, like so I just like, when you stop to think about, like, how this actually, like, functions and things, though, I'm like, "I don't get it, like, how is this like, this is magic."
Well, the
Uh,
thing is that I find kind of interesting about capturing things on cameras or, you know, video cameras is that like somehow like a good example is trying to take a picture of a full moon or video of a full moon. You look up at it and it looks so clear and crystal to you. You try to take that photo or that video and it looks like shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's like, why do your eyes seem to pick up on it better? And it's like, it's not your eyes, it's actually your brain filtering out a bunch of unneeded information and focusing down, which a camera can't do. A camera focuses on what's within the frame. Your brain has a hell of a lot more information, but it's like, okay, you're only interested in this part. All right, this is all the information I'm going to give you, but I'm going to give you a lot of it. And like, so your brain is so much more versatile, but it's limited in other ways. And so like that's the thing, like a lot of people like to compare the two, and I'm like, it's sort of like comparing mediums of storytelling. Some of them, there's some benefits to some and some detriments to them as at the same time. You know, they have limits and they have benefits, and they're not always gonna overlap. And it's not a perfect, you know, this one's better than that one. No, it's better for this specific instance. You know, and I find that interesting about cameras. I'm not I'm not big on taking photos. Like, I know a lot of people, like, since everyone got cameras, you know, with them all the time, they take a lot of photos and stuff. And I don't know. I more have that attitude of someone from like 100 years ago or older who, you know, around the time of that recording of that horse running, where it's like, we only can afford to get a photo when something really, really, really important is happening. I don't really pay attention to it. Like, it's not something that I really care about, which is kind of funny because like I have a lot of photographer friends, but I'm not that person. Like, I'm gonna take a photo of this, I'm gonna take a photo of that. Like, I don't know. I'm like, that camera hardly does anything on my phone.
I definitely like camera is since my service can be so bad. Phone for actual phone usage, and my internet service is bad too. Am I frozen?
No.
Okay. But camera is like the biggest thing for me. Like that is an important factor because I take a ton of pictures but mostly of animals and I definitely have like 5,000 photos on my phone. But you know, like some I upload onto like Instagram, but I don't do all of them. Like it'll just be like certain ones where like, oh yeah, but other things that I want to save. And sometimes like I'll go back and look at them and then especially when they're growing too though. So it was just like constantly taking pictures of Plop as he got bigger, and that was like
what is with that? Because I was like that too when Lily was young. I was taking photos and video of her all the time. And then when she grew up, I was like, yeah, I went back to normal.
because it was, I think it's so many changes. I mean, like because like cuteness, I think when anything is young, like our brains are going to be like, oh, you're adorable and we want to take care of you because like, you know, as the guardians. So I think that's automatic, but then and it's also like this isn't going to last very long, so I want to make sure that like I can save these moments though, because you're growing like extremely fast, especially with like geese when they like pretty after like 7 weeks they're done. Almost. I still think Plop, I was just saying today too, like is he still getting bigger? Like before I wasn't sure. I'm like, oh, it was kind of hard to tell. Like I don't know if he or Lemon Grab might be like standing taller or shorter at the moment, but like now it's like it doesn't matter. Like that I can like physically see that your body is humongous compared, like you are definitely larger than everyone, and especially around his mom. It's just so funny because you just like like maybe like of my mom and my one brother too. Like my mom is so tiny, and then my brother's huge, and just like you came out of that. Like, how did that work? Like, and I tower over her too. I'm probably like a head taller because she's just this teeny tiny Asian woman. But oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I had a friend whose literal birth name was Thor, and he's tall. He's a big
Yeah,
guy.
good. A good
And
thing he turned out to be Thor or
well,
tall.
someone asked once if that's you, that's not a nickname. How did they know you were going to be big?
Uh-huh.
And he was like, he was born big. He
Yeah,
was
they
like
just
a
figured.
big
Well, that's how I
baby.
knew Plop would get big, like, because I I was like, "Why?" Like, Your feet are huge," and, like, Corey's were when he was younger too, though, and so it's just, like, seeing Plop, and at first I'm like, "Well, are your feet bigger than your parents' is already, though?" And so it was just kind of like, "Yeah, like, you're gonna be a giant." Um The but I think my thing with pictures though, and especially like when an animal passes, and I look back and I'm like going through all the stuff that I have at Elsie, and I'm just kind of like, I didn't take enough, or like I wish I had more videos, or I had like so. There's that part of it too, where I'm like, I don't think I've ever like regretted taking so many. It's always been like, oh, I'm upset. Like when I lawn mowed my phone last summer, I lost like 3 months of that, and while like the
Oh,
chickens and other like while they were still growing. So there was like a part where they were like in between. I'm like, I'm missing like when they were younger.
I
And
think taking photos of living things is maybe better because like here's the thing about when I was talking about people who are obsessed with taking photos, I really meant people who were like, I'm gonna take a picture of my food between before every meal. Like I try like every once in a while, you'll if you look at my Instagram, you'll see that first of all I
yeah,
haven't
I'll do
posted
food
anything in a
sometimes.
while, and every once in a while I try to do the Instagram thing, and I'm like, okay, I did this thing, and then I'm like, these photos suck, but okay, this is the thing. I'll put a filter on it, whatever, and like I can maintain this for maybe 2 days before I
Hmm.
lose interest. And I'm like, no, I'm done again. And then
Yeah.
like the next time I do something like food related, I don't even think about it. It's not in my head. Like I
Oh,
can't.
so I'll do it if it's something like pretty, or especially if I bake something, I'll do that. Like when I've decorated a cake or whatever. Like so that's
But you're
something that
not like
I'll
taking photos of food you get at a restaurant necessarily.
not always. It kinda depends on that too. Like, sometimes if it's just kind of like either, like, this is an exciting like, it's not every time we go out though. Like, usually if it might be like I'm taking pictures of us and there's food there too, or you'll see, like, there I because I do love food, so sometimes I'm just really excited about, like, I got a chocolate covered cheesecake on a stick, and I was just like, "I've never seen anything like this before," and I'm like and I ate the whole thing at the fair
Really?
and, like yeah. Have you? You've seen
Yeah.
I know, it was my
Like,
first time, and I
lots.
was no, that was my
When I went
first
to
time ever.
Neowalla in Independence, Kansas, they had it there every year.
Oh, no. So that's why I was excited. So I took so there are times when like, there's just certain foods where I'm like, "Yeah, this is cool looking," and I'm going to, I might post that, but I don't always. And I also forget when I visit friends and stuff too, that's the time when I'm like, "Oh, I should take a picture of it," but then you forget about it because 'cause we're, like, in the moment of hanging out and catching up, and then afterward, you're like,
Yeah.
I should have taken a picture," and then I forget.
Oh, that kind of reminds me though. I have to say this because if I go to a restaurant, which is not very common, and it's to a restaurant I've never been before, I always check Yelp. And I get annoyed when I see people have posted pictures of themselves in the restaurant, and I'm like, I want to see pictures of the restaurant and of the food you ordered or the drinks you ordered. This is the one time I am
That
actually
you
interested in that. Otherwise, I'm not interested. Like I don't know. On Instagram, I kind of expect to see people or
Mhm.
places, I guess.
See, I get surprised, like and
Animals.
I had to realize that people like seeing other people more, like, and that's just a thing because I'm like, I there'll be so many people like, oh, and they're just taking a lot of selfies, and then I never understand because they're not like in interesting places or like any like or anything worthwhile in like the words that they're saying or whatever, and yet they'll get like so many likes, and I'm just like, I don't get it, like why? And like I
Yeah.
at least, like, be somewhere cool that you have in the background, or then other times, like,
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of just, like, with no people because 'cause I'm like, "The scenery is cool," like, I'm in,
Yeah,
Crater
like the
Lake,
landscape.
Oregon, I'm in like, Yellowstone or something, and so I'll do both where I'm like, I just want no one in it, and because it looks neat, and then I'll also do, like, "Oh, here we are in it," and, but yeah, there are just so many things. I'm like, I don't understand how it's so popular. It's just like constantly, and it's like the same pose, but they're just like in a different place. And it's like, how do you have like 2,000 likes on this though? Like, why are people caring about like it so much. You're not an animal, and so I have no interest in looking at you. I want to see a baby duck.
I know my YouTube shorts and my Instagram reels are filled with animals. That because those are the ones I consistently click on.
Yeah.
Except on Instagram, there's something else in my reels. Videos of Henry Cavill. Yes, I click on those. So they keep popping up. He's just as pretty as any puppy or kitten, and that's why I click on it.
All right. Let me catch up on chat real quick. What did I say? We're talking about soul sucking. I was trying to what
You gonna try to
technology
turn
is
off the computer again?
demon magic. Oh no. Technology is demon magic. I laughed out loud at that one. My father has an old hard drive from like the 60s. I think it's huge and weighs about 50 pounds, but holds something like 10 megabytes. Yeah, right? That's I am very impressed with humans being able to and demons because of the magic of just like how far they've come. Like even when you watch like Friends, I saw like I said it was on a TV but recently and they have like the 90s and he has this laptop Chandler and he's like, oh, it has 500 megabytes and it's this big bulky thing and he's all excited and I'm just like laughing hysterically because it's like 500 megabytes. I can't do anything like a picture sometimes it's gonna be bigger than the no, the moon is smaller because the camera is smaller size. Isn't it name magic? If you name your kid Jeeves, well, he's going to be a butler, of course. Yes. I mean, because they end up too, where it's just like, oh, why would you name your child? I have that with a ginger with his real name. I'm like, why would you name someone that? I'm like, oh, I guess he just looked like it. I'm like, yeah. As a baby, you kind of knew, like, yeah, he looks like this terrible name that no one should be called. I named my daughter Serena because I love Samantha's cousin Serena on Bewitched, which is hilarious because she's just played by Samantha by Elizabeth. What's her name? Montgomery. But you like her more. And Serena, I like because of Sailor Moon. Taking pictures of living things. This reminded me of a really dark practice from the 1800s. They would take a photo and someone died, the dead person sitting with the family propped up as if alive. Ooh, and then they just like kind of haunt you. I was thinking of like a kind of horror story or something, or maybe not in the way, but it might have reminded me or inspired me from like, oh, I keep kind of seeing like Elsie and Peripheral sort of thing. But like I was also thinking of the idea in a horror way of like someone who's like and I'm sure they've already done this too. I probably have seen one, like, but it's like always behind you or always just in like the peripheral, but then like you're not there. And
there's a short story in Growing Things. It's a collection of short stories by the same author that one of them is about seeing something behind you, like you could see it in photos, and like it's getting darker over time, which is terrifying because that means it's like getting more solid. it's getting stronger somehow. Like at first it's just like a light shadow, like maybe
there are multiple horror movies like that. What's the it might be called Polaroid, I think, and then like and you could see it when you take pictures and you could see the shadow in it in the photos but not in real life. And then one of my favorite horror movies, it's what is it, Taiwanese or South Korea, some Asian film, Shudder. And I haven't seen it in like over a decade, but that one was like spooky. It had like the ghost thing, and it was like the ghosts are like sitting on your shoulders, but you couldn't tell. So it's just this like slowly revealing kind of thing of like, oh, like you can just kind of like feel the weight on you, and they're like literally there. And then I think there was something to do like with taking pictures because you could see it in the photo, but I can't remember the specific plot anymore.
There's
but
a lot
I
of
liked it.
Video games that involve horror video games that involve the use of a camera to see the spirit or whatever.
Right.
I think it might be like a Japanese thing or something, and because like I've seen it in a lot of Japanese based games specifically, and then like spread from there. But like a lot of Japanese horror games do it, so I'm like maybe it's their supernatural idea, and we're just like following after them like, this is a cool idea. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many other Asian games there are, but like it does because all the movies I've seen, they haven't all been Japanese, but like I think a lot of Asian themes have have the similar camera stuff, and it was Thai. It was I thought that, and then I was like, no, I think I'm wrong about so I didn't say, but it was Thailand. Is that Shutter film? Oh, what else? There are other ones too where it's well, I think it's just funny, like even in like, all the ghost hunting stuff now, they have the it's always just they're trying to get stuff on camera, and I always think it's silly. I'm like, why would a ghost only show up on camera? Like only have like how can it exist? What did ghosts do before cameras existed in like the early 1800s,
You
1700s?
captured them in the mirror when you were looking in the mirror, and
Apparently it was only I guess so. Like that's the only way.
I think that's actually, what? Actually, that might be it. The idea, because cameras used to have mirrors in them.
Mm-hmm. And they still,
They're
I mean,
now-
like, yeah, the way the lenses and stuff too, like they're kind of
Some
like
of them are
bouncing back
mirrorless,
and
though.
forth. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that might be like it's a transfer from that
The
idea that
reflective
you see them in the mirrors, but not actually in the room.
in real. Yeah, that makes sense. And mirrors are portals. Yes, Steph. Just use an old school tape recorder to capture EVP. Yeah.
When you write EVP, I read executive vice president.
Really?
Yes.
Nothing.
I have no
too
idea
into
what EVP
business.
means in this context.
An electronic voice phenomenon.
Oh God.
Duh. Someone didn't watch enough ghost hunting things.
You mean none.
Yes, exactly.
I just heard of a new. By the way, I just heard of a new Supernatural. You reminded me of that because they had the fake Ghost Hunters episodes on Supernatural. Jensen Ackles is in some new TV show as the sheriff. I think it's called Big Sky, and I'm like, I will watch this because I like Jensen Ackles.
Yeah, I didn't know that. No, I've heard of Big Sky. I don't think I realized he was in it. Okay. Yep. There he is. Arms folded, looking rugged. Oh, and it has what's her face in this too? Catherine Winnick.
Yeah.
I always thought she was
on Hulu.
Super pretty. She's pretty hot. So. It's on Hulu. Okay.
Yeah.
How does she still look so good? How old is she? Jeez. Okay.
Oh, Logan Marshall Green is in the show, and Reba's on the show.
Wait, which one's Logan Marshall Green?
Logan Marshall Green is he was in that Upgrade, and Prometheus and Devil. I like him, but he's kind of a poor man's Tom Hardy. And he's in some video game called Telling Lies too. Oh yeah, that's right. He had a small part on Spider-Man Homecoming too.
I don't know. Upgrade.
Upgrade's kind of interesting. I liked it, but I also didn't like it. I was like, it was almost awesome. Then you failed.
Okay, because when you said Upgrade, I was thinking Upload. I'm like, I like that show, but then this is a different show.
No, this is a movie. Upgrade's a movie.
Oh, okay.
I really like weird sci-fi films. So like every once in a while, if we do sci-fi, I'm probably gonna recommend some strange movie you've never heard of.
Okay. Yeah, we've got differing. I mean, I think you don't worry too much about like, oh, have we set themes and stuff. I mean, I know we're doing Rick and Morty, and then we kind of have like the decades thing, but like I think other stuff can be kind of a free for all, whereas because we have the like just there's only so many weeks in the month and stuff too. So I think it's like oh, I want to watch this thing here. So I think we can just kind of be a little looser about that when we're like Rick and Morty is going to be going on for the next 6 months and stuff. So like I'm fine with kind of switching.
I apparently have seen all of season 1, but I don't think I've seen it in order. So I'm finally watching it in order. And I'm like, I was like, which episodes? I don't want to talk too much about it, but I'm like, which episode of it is my favorite episode from the season? And I'm like, that's a really hard decision to come to. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be rewatching season 1 here for next week. But I guess we need to get through this. I have the other 20 seconds of I didn't even know what this one was. It was Round Hay Garden Scene, but it was 1888, so it was just another silent film thing. So we can watch that real quick, and then we've got the 2 15-minute ones, so we can
Oh, I've
go
never
through it.
seen this one. So they're
I
just it's short.
Yeah, I don't so I guess they're just replaying. I hadn't watched the clip though, so I guess it's really just like 2 seconds long.
Yeah.
But I think I have seen this before actually. But I think it's French. I think they were, if I recall, I think that was just a very early one for France. Whoops. Which, speaking of French, because I imagine Le Voyage dans la Lune is also French made. So we can get into that one. And
Are you
this
gonna
one,
show the train one?
yes,
just
that is the.
curious.
Yeah, I was doing
Not
the
the
train one.
Great Train Robbery, but the actual one where it's just a short train show
Oh.
coming at you.
Oh,
I
let's
found
see.
it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, then we can play that one after. Is that so before we'll do that one before we watch the Great Train Robbery? Then
Yeah.
to prepare for
This
it.
one, the train arrival of a train is like 1896.
Oh, okay, good. Then that'll be 1800s because this is getting into 1902 already. This is loud for a silent film. Trumpet.
It's very melancholy trumpet.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Like, is this music from someone who
I don't
put this on there?
yeah.
Or is it from the original? Like, I
I'm
don't feel
guessing
like
someone put it on. Yeah, because this is original. This is original music. So does that mean this whole thing is this a bad video of it? Did they put their own thing on this? Was the whole thing silent?
Probably.
I have no idea. Oh, wait, what is this? Billy Brass Quintet. To the Moon. And yeah, to answer someone, yeah, it was Georges Méliès.
Yeah, I don't think this is his music.
Did he have music? Let's find another
don't
one
think he
to double
did.
check. It was the whole thing silent. A Trip to the Moon. This is the first one that pops up though. So that's interesting. Let's see. No, it looks like it was just silent. So yeah, we'll let him have his music then.
Unless that's copyrighted.
We'll find out.
Like that one sustained note.
I don't know. Might get mad. I'm not making money anyway. Leave me alone, YouTube.
Or their telescopes turned into stools.
Yeah.
Apparently, he had a hell of a lot more movies that he made, and only like a few of them survived.
Really?
I don't know if you've seen that movie Hugo. It's not very good, but it goes into the history of this director like a lot.
Oh, really? Is that what
Yeah,
it's about?
it's mostly about him. Like that part of the movie is the most interesting part of the movie is in Hugo is about this director because it gives you a lot of really interesting information. And I looked it up, and most of it was pretty accurate.
I didn't know what that was based on a real thing. Interesting. Bum, 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 bum. Silent movies had live music played with them during viewings. I figured there would be something, but I guess they couldn't.
They had an orchestra pit.
Yeah, because they just couldn't
Yeah.
do the audio. I just thought maybe they might have that like record, like at some point, like they would have those separate recordings that you would do, and that would be available now. But I guess that wasn't a thing. They only did the live music.
It's like they're arguing or something.
Yeah. Like, the internet is not new. That film was like the first OnlyFans and also had a cat in it. That 2-second one.
The thing about the cat.
Oh, this one.
The
I remember
girls
seeing a
feeding
short
the
silent
cat.
film from 1906 where a young girl feeds a cat with a bowl of milk. Oh, yeah. Weird.
This one is considered like the first movie essentially because it's an actual story. Like even though
Right.
you don't have any like dialogue or anything, it's considered the first like story that you can actually watch.
Yeah, because there were other ones that were like recordings of like a fight and what I wrote down Le Manoir du Diable 1890. So they're like, yeah, oh, the Corbett Fitzsimmons fight 1897. So like, but they weren't like scripted films and things.
Yeah, at
I
first
don't
they
know
were
what the
just
other ones
filming
are
things that were happening around them.
Yeah, I don't remember.
He was the first one who like really started turning it into a way of telling a story, essentially.
Yeah. House of the
that's
Devil.
interesting. Wallace Williams says playbills and sheet music might be available for the passionate researcher.
Yeah, I'll take sheet music.
I love this because like I can tell that's like a flat painting, but some of the perspective work that they did in the early cinematography was really amazing. Like if you watch a Charlie Chaplin film, there's this one where he's on roller skates in a closed department store and he almost rolls off the balcony onto and then just barely catches himself. There was no balcony there. It was a trickery where they painted something and put it in front of the camera so it wasn't even there. And I was like, the stuff that they did for creating a set designed specifically for a camera to be captured, that was really cool stuff.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
That's why I actually do love like fake background, like especially when you use them either like comedically or in some sort of creative way and stuff too. Like, I don't know. I just, because I kind of like, that's why I haven't seen it again in over a decade. So I only vaguely remember it, but the movie Low, and it kind of had, it's like set up so simply and they kind of reenact stuff in sort of like a stage thing. So there's just like backdrops as they kind of reenact scenes of the guy's life as he's like remembering certain things. And I don't know, I really like how it was done. JEC coming into the party late because he's saying ever see Hugo. Like
I
Alex
literally was talking about it. Only a lot of hammering involved, says Johnny Jumper building this spaceship. Yeah, and JEC's right. I was talking about City Lights, the Charlie Chaplin movie. Which City Lights is a very good movie.
I love Charlie Chaplin, but I've only seen a few of his films and I can't remember which ones I've seen now. Because again, that was over 10 years ago.
I recommend City Lights and Modern Times. Those are my favorites.
What was the second one?
Modern Times.
Modern Times. I might have seen Bless you.
Thank you. I'm like, he really took his time. It's so short, but he like took his time for each one of these things. Like, and part of the reason why I think he did is because of how much effort went into making these things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like even just filming on film nowadays, like and recently and stuff too, where it's just like it costs so much money. Like you want to make the scenes that you shoot done well. Like you don't want to screw it up because like it's so expensive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, CGI made everything a lot cheaper, so they got a lot more throwaway with stuff, and I kind of hate that. I think someone was doing something with practical effects, and I think it was George Lucas said to him, "You know, you can make this all cheaper with CGI," and it's like, yeah, but the product is not quite the same. Especially at the time he was saying it to the guy, because it's like CGI wasn't really all that realistic looking.
Yeah.
I love how they're not wearing spacesuits.
Well, yeah, and also like how big the spaceship was in comparison to the moon. Like it hits the moon with a face, but then it's also, you know, tenth of the size of the moon. So
Yeah.
I'm partial to Buster Keaton. I think I have a soft spot for Charlie Chaplin. I don't know why. I got into him in college, and Buster Keaton, I don't know how much I've seen it.
He did some really amazing stunts, Buster Keaton did.
Yeah.
Just really just absolutely insane and awesome. And actually, someone recently described Jackie Chan as a vaudeville martial artist, and I was like, he is like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. He moves like them, and that's why his fights were so entertaining. Is because of the way he moved was really like flowy and kind of crazy at times. And it's like, yeah, that's not. We were already primed for that with all the Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin stuff out there.
Yeah, that's true. I think I underappreciated
Jackie Chan. I liked his fighting more than a lot of people. I think a lot of other options. Although Jet Li was just insanely fast. No one was ever as fast as Jet Li.
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched a ton of let me think. Any martial arts stuff I've watched have been like super B movie, like what's it called, like passion projects of people who are like nobodies and wanted to make them. Like those are the ones that I've seen that are like so cheesy and terrible. So I haven't really watched like real ones with famous people now.
There's this not very popular one called The One by Jet Li, where he's playing multiple versions of himself, and he uses different martial arts styles in it, which is very impressive, by the way. And then it's not very good. Like, I'm not gonna say it's good, but like there's this point where he stands there and he does this move with this like set of moves with his hands, and he goes so fast that in test audiences they thought they had sped up the film.
Yeah.
He had. I do love these sets. I think they're not sets, really. They're sets and backdrops. They're so cool looking.
Yeah, just I guess coming from, because that's what you would do on stage, like when in the theater, like this is the kind of thing that you would have. So I just still like having that, and everything was still that early. Everyone's used to theater stuff, so it's like they're okay with seeing this.
Yeah, they are. I also think Tim Burton like apes this a bit sometimes. Like he's trying to pick up on this style.
Sure, yeah.
Like creating an entire like portrait, essentially, because that's what a lot of play sets are kind of based on the idea of creating a tableau, and I feel like he does that a lot too.
Did you see that guy like put both his legs up? Like that was impressive. What a contortionist. I like this because I did this kind of thing too, where it was like, you stop recording and you have to, like, the camera's in the same spot and everyone else is stay. And then, because I would do that when I was younger, of like, all right, stop, make my cats or dog or whatever like disappear as they like hop out and like,
oh yeah.
Or
you can. We messed with that when I was in junior high. There was this thing where we were like, oh, we're gonna interview a teacher, and like the person is sitting on the couch, and then they go.
Bing,
and then the teacher is there.
Uh-huh.
You start messing with that stuff pretty early. You're like, oh, you can do some really cool things.
Yeah, I love it. That was so much fun. Because I had like I think VHS recorder and stuff when I was little, and so I was already filming things.
That smoke bomb reminded me of a story my high school theater teacher told, where he was in a production of Excalibur or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Is that Camelot maybe? And he was Merlin, and his first entrance, he was supposed to come in through a cloud of smoke, but the first time he did it, like for dress rehearsal, he just immediately started coughing because the smoke went in his face, and the director was like, do that every time. I love when that kind of stuff happens, like these like moments of, oh, I didn't mean for this, wasn't the plan, but it turned out to be the good idea that, from circumstance.
Right. I mean, that's the improv way too, where you're just kind of like, this happened, well, let's roll with it. Like, this is canon now. I do that with D&D a lot too, where it's just kind of like, oh, you guys said this thing though? Like, well, that happened, like you said that in character, or or I'm good because I like to mess with them too. I'm like, yep, no, it's canon.
I do feel like almost every frame of Melee's movie is a piece of art. Like he really, really paid attention to like all the details. And
Yes.
thinking about the fact that you had to account for very poor light capture back then, like the contrasting between the lights and the darks has to be so dramatic, and to create this
Right. Yeah, you have to be careful, and, like, I wonder what the scenes were really if they were black and white or if they, were colorful, because when you just have a color picture of any, like, background or whatever, and you change it to black and white, it might not look well, like, you have to account for how that's going to show up with the lights and darks. So I wonder if they painted it black and white for the back knowing that, like, it needed to stand out well.
Well, and then at the same time, though, sometimes picking a color might show up a little better. Like they might contrast better. Like
Yeah.
maybe they capture better, and the lighting will
So they have, like, just
reflect differently
weird
off of it.
bright colors for, like,
Yeah,
color
it might
design
look
though, and
strange. They might
yeah.
clash.
Yeah.
Like I know that, like for a while there, when in black and white, some of the makeup they wore was sort of greenish because the color
Mhm.
of it didn't matter, but it made their skin look amazing in a black and white, capture. So it's like color, the actual color like doesn't matter. It matters how it transfers to the black and white.
I wonder if that was the intention for the Munsters, because I was always bothered when I saw color photos of them and they made Lily and Grandpa green, and I was like, "No, it makes sense that Herman, because like, that's just kinda like you're used to, like, the green Frankenstein monster sort of
Mhm.
thing." But when them, like, they're vampires kinda whatever, like, I'm like, "Why are you green?" So that always bothered me to see them in color, but I wonder if that was, like, intentional for makeup purposes or for, like, the characters themselves to be green. And George says that we're gonna get striked that Melies is going to strike this video.
Yeah.
Thelonious Monk, 50s, 60s jazz master, the art of the mistake. Yeah, and that's what, well, I was saying to the kids yesterday when I was doing the improv stuff with the high schoolers, and I was like, one phrase that we would hear would be, "There are no mistakes, just happy accidents." And I was trying to say that, like, I think, like, because Tina Fey had a quote on the wall, like, and she might have been talking about Harold Ramis, but I was like, I think she kind of popularized it, like, out there just because of, like, the quote that was on the wall. And I couldn't remember exactly how, like, who had said it for, like, the improv fix, but then the one kid was just like, "Bob Ross." And my brain broke for a second because I was like, "Why is he yelling Bob Ross at me?" But I was just like, "No, no, no, like, I'm not," 'cause they're like, "Oh, they know it from him saying," and I'm like, "I'm just saying that," like, I said popularized, and I think, like, just in that area, because, like, there's the quote on the wall at Second City, and so it was just like, she didn't even say it herself, she was, like, referencing, I think, Harold Ramis using that phrase and stuff, but I was like, "Not trying to take away from Bob Ross here," 'cause there were a couple other kids too who were like, "Bob Ross," I'm like, "Yeah, I wasn't talking about that." But it is just good, like, good to have in life generally, and I think that's why I think improv is really helpful for a lot of things. Um, oh, what real quick, I just forgot about this when I was sometimes when I'm, like, I might be wearing, like, giant hoodies or whatever because 'cause I'm, like, hanging out outside and I get, like, mud or goose on them or whatever, and so then I was thinking, like, "Do I need to change?" I'm like, "No, this is fine," and then I realized, "Oh, this is the same design as the dress that I was wearing yesterday, only in hoodie form." It's just
I
the
knew your
same
sleeves
print.
were different though, so
Yeah, the other one was a dress, this one is just a hoodie, so
yeah, so this is the um this video freaked people out. It's not going very fast.
because oh, it's like a cat watching, like, a video, like, Corey, I remember him watching
Yeah.
Corey or maybe Fiddle, one of the cats that we had, uh, was watching water rushing on a movie on the screen and got scared.
Yeah, exactly. Like people like literally got out of their chairs in the theaters
That's so
because they were
weird to
like,
me. I have seen this,
I
but yeah,
know.
that's so weird to that concept of, like, this is is this real? Why am I going blind? How come I can only see this in black and white?
Yeah, I know. But I think it's just like the lizard brain just reacts there, like
Yeah.
motion.
Bob Ross is big with the kids. Clearly, yeah. And then these high schoolers get all
I grew up
defensive of Bob
watching
Ross.
Bob Ross, so I'm like, what I don't know, but I had a Bob Ross paint kit when I was a kid too. I was really into painting.
Oh,
So,
I never
I don't
really
think any of
watched
the
him.
other kids knew who he was, though.
I guess he's popular now, but like, yeah, I never got into him really. I
He was
don't think I
on
watched too much.
I know why he was popular. He was put on Netflix for a while there, and like, some teenagers were watching him, and they're like, "He's so soothing," and teenagers were
Mm-mm.
like an increased amount of
Oh, because they have
anxiety
the
versus
ASMR
previous.
stuff too and all that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they're like, "He's so soothing," so they love watching him because he's soothing, and like, like one of my best friends watch it, like does the same thing, but he's in his 30s.
I
He's
wonder why kids are so anxious more so now than before.
I
I
don't
wonder
know.
what could
I'm
be
not
the
sure.
reason there.
Yeah.
Um, hang on, which one is this? The Great Train Robbery. And this one, oof, also has loud music.
That was wild, yeah.
Yeah. I just expected silent films to not be so loud.
1903.
Yes, this is the year after the trip to the moon came out.
Yeah.
Bob Ross has a YouTube channel and they just live stream his shows all day. Really? Oh,
How
I'm
do they
glad
live
you know
stream
so
his
much
shows
about.
all day? He's dead.
I guess
You
it's
mean
that they're doing what we're doing now and just like replaying them, but it's a live stream of it. Like you know, like it's
Gosh,
just
that
us
sounds weird.
playing this movie.
Maybe they just re-premiere his videos over and over again.
That could be it too. That seems easier than like actually doing I don't know why you would need to do it as a live
Where
stream.
did that guy come from?
Him? Did he come out of the thing? Let me rewind it.
Yeah, he's like okay,
Which-
so there are two
so
of
there-
them in there. I was like,
So
wait
it
a
was just
minute. There's two in there.
Goodbye.
Oh, it froze for me.
What did it?
Yeah. Okay, there's still two. Okay. Oh, okay,
Or he
wow.
hid under the table? Or
He
oh
hid
yeah.
under the
Okay.
table and essentially disappears because
Yeah.
of how dark it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I looked away for a second because I heard a noise and I looked back like, where did he go? Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
This is scary. Look at that train going back and forth with the people on it. Are those people looking into the window and seeing this happen?
I don't think so.
Because it looks like they're staring. And he's
This
turning
was
around and saying
actually
like, hey.
this was one of the first instances of the if it's not on camera, it doesn't exist. There's a point. I think it's when horses are off camera and they're not like there's no sense of them being there, and then like oh boots they exist, and like that was one of the first instances of basically doing that. It's like one of those movie magic tricks which audiences don't fall for anymore. By the way, it's like out of fashion in cinema because like audiences have a like a lower ability to suspend their disbelief.
I get bothered with certain things where it's like, how did you not hear this person coming? Like their footsteps would have totally been audible. And so there's just certain things like that where like, how could they sneak up on you here?
You mean like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
The way it ninjas in there sometimes.
Like the
Especially
quiet,
when he's
tiptoeing T-Rex. You're like, I'm gonna
yeah,
sneak
when
up
it's like
on
boom, 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 and then sometimes it's
him. How'd you get here? I really like, I guess that always reminds me of one of my favorite things is the How I Met Your Mother, where Marshall's worried when he doesn't have health insurance, and then he just keeps like imagining like a bear attacking him, and it's just like in from behind the curtain in the bathroom and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I always like weird stuff like that. Address. Oh, Adderall over stimulation. Replaying his old PBS show. He did like 20 something seasons of his show. Bob Ross is everywhere. He's on Pluto TV and Twitch as well. Feels like they had low bandwidth in 1903. Yeah. You know, this is interesting that everyone seems to know that Bob Ross is everywhere. Like, it's not even just kids, that even the chat knows that he's everywhere. Like, I had no idea he's everywhere, but so like, are you guys watching him too?
I only knew he was on Netflix because my best friend really likes watching it.
Yeah.
So like, and then I found out it was on YouTube because it wasn't on Netflix anymore, or maybe. And then like he was watching it on YouTube, so then I knew it was on there. Like, I mean, I think it's awesome that people are watching Bob Ross. I think he's got a lot of really amazing messages for people.
I mean, I assume
he was such a sweetheart too. Like people would send him their paintings that they did along with him, and he said that he was so sweet and wonderful to everybody. He would go do appearances, and like hundreds of people would show up with their paintings that they did watching his show, and he was always so happy to see all of them. He was a sweetheart. So like, he's like, you know how they say like, Steve Irwin and is one of the like most loved people, and I can't remember, there's someone else, but like, and Bob Ross is on that list of deceased men that people like absolutely loved. And I think he's worthy of it, honestly.
That's nice. JC says everyone loves Bob Ross. Beverly, it's just you who doesn't. I don't dislike him. I just never really watched, so I never got into it. And I hadn't heard.
I mean, when I was a kid, I was into painting, so I watched him. I mean, most people our age around our age are not we're not into Bob Ross unless they were into painting.
Yeah, I liked drawing a lot, but painting was never my forte on things, and I've done it like at different times for like art classes and things, but yeah, it was just not my medium. But I do like soothing things.
It's very fun to watch.
I love cheery people too. That's why I love Marie Kondo, though, like, 'cause she's so sweet. Like, she just exudes that like kind of like sweetheart energy of like, oh, I feel soothing watching you here, like her smiling and her just like seeming to be so joyful, like hearing about other people's lives. And then I like to picture too, as soon as she like leaves, like takes off the microphone, she's just like a total bitch to everything and like a prima donna, like screaming or whatever. But
you should watch some Bob Ross episodes. I think you'd enjoy it. He is a sweetheart, and his advice on like how to do paintings and how to think about it, like, just people would get, a lot of people have like painting anxiety because it's like, it's like, oh my god, it's permanent if I fuck up, and he's all like, no, there's no mistakes, and like he's really like, you just do this and you have something else now. He's so chill and zen about it that it's like really, it kind of takes the pressure off. So yeah. Like, he's very much worth watching, even if you're not into painting. Like, it's very soothing and just nice to watch. Yes, Bob Ross is better than any ASMR. That's true.
Yeah, well, anything is better than ASMR.
Yeah, I don't feel better watching that stuff. I don't know why people think you.
Especially, we both agree that the whispering is really anxiety inducing. Or like, I do not feel comfortable.
And it's not like you to turn up the sound to make the whispering stop. It's this certain type of delivery that it's going to be. Because
it's like the strain on your voice that it like, so it hurts me to hear like the constant whispering. Like, I can handle it in short amounts or something, like, and whatever movie or something where they kind of have to whisper. But then even on like sitcoms and stuff, they do a stage whisper, so like, I'm gonna whisper like this, but when you're like actually whispering,
I know. Well,
for
I
too
think for
long.
me, it's a psychological thing because like when someone is whispering in your ear like that, they're like close, and I don't want them to be close to
I
me.
don't want to
So
too
like
close.
even though they're like not actually even in the room with me, with my headphones on my ears and
Mhm.
their voice acting like it's actually in my ear, I'm like, get the fuck away. That's why I take off my headphones.
And then and you saying it makes me like want to whisper into the microphone. I'm just
Don't,
because
please
like I
don't.
know it's gonna. I won't, but I do have like, and then it's like an OCD thing where it's like I have to like I like to poke the Ginger's belly button and he hates it, but then it's like now I need to do it.
Yeah, this is it. This is the part where the horses are there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, oh,
Yeah,
just hang out
they're
with
just
Sweetie.
there. But yeah, like Johnny Boy Quick Draw says, there's one channel where the woman reads Lovecraft stories in ASMR voice. That's the only ASMR I like. That one would
Weird.
probably add to the creep factor.
Yeah, you know what? I think so. Because yeah, and that's the thing too. Whispering can just be kind of creepy, and that might be the only way that I would want to hear it. Let's put a great big oak right here. And you know what? Sometimes even trees get lonely, so let's give him a little friend next to him. Oh, even trees get lonely. I feel like I
Some
remember
bad
that
version I
line.
watched about this. I watched a bad version of this in college for my adaptation course, and they had colorized parts of it, and
Oh.
the color moved. It wasn't like stable. So like this girl, her coat was colored, and it was like it was weird because it like moved around her. It didn't stay on her coat, and I was like, ugh. If you were doing this by hand, you could have done a better job.
I'm digging this music.
I can't hear it. Oh. Just looked up at you and you're grooving.
Yeah. Oh, and I love contra dancing and stuff too that they do. I only did it once when I worked at the Y. Like we went, they were doing it at this one location, so you got to do like with the and four, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you would like put your hand in the middle as you're circling around and you switch. And I'd never done it before, but it was so much fun. Like I loved it. The square dancing, contra dancing, whatever they're
Oh
called.
my god, Johnny Boy.
What do you say? This would be great music
This would
to
be
use for
great
montage.
music.
You have to be kidding. Oh my gosh. Don't get me banned on YouTube, Johnny Boy.
Yeah.
How did people ever live with that much lag? I have terrible internet, so I'm just used to everything being in poor quality and lagging. Look at that horse in the background. Oh, shucks. I'm just gonna scrape at the ground here.
Yeah, why is it?
Maybe he's trying to notify them. Maybe it's a notifying. Yeah, you're gonna scare the poor horses, shooting it right between. Oh my gosh, I'm scared for the horses. They're right in the middle of this fight.
Oh god, speaking of people firing blanks. What about Alec Baldwin and the armorer getting charged with involuntary
I saw you
mines?
post that in Discord. I thought you were gonna go toward in a sexual direction there, so firing blanks.
Yeah, I did say that's a spicy meatball.
pew pew. Were people scared of this part too when they saw?
I think by this point they were like
okay.
they were like more aware of the fact that oh no, they don't come out of the screen. Whoa, he shot the cameraman, kind of like Alec Baldwin. Wonder if Edwin S. Porter shot anyone on set.
Yeah, I bet they were more careful back then with their. I wonder if they were prop guns or they used real stuff back then. I wonder.
I'm not
Even
sure.
like stage and things if they were like.
They did have stage guns for like on sets already for plays, so they probably just use those same things.
Okay, I didn't know if they did have fake ones there.
But what I know about like what they, by the way, one of the reasons why they did decide to charge him is that there were live rounds commingled with blanks and dummy rounds all over the place. Like there was a live round in Alec Baldwin's belt. There was a live round on Jensen Ackles' like bandolier. There was a live round in a box of dummy rounds. It was insane. They were everywhere, and it's like someone was gonna get shot.
Yeah, that seems intentional by that point, and I didn't realize Jensen Ackles was there.
Yeah, he was. He was co-starring. He had said like 2 days before the incident happened that he had been talking with the cinematographer and said that he really appreciated all the work she was doing and thought that her shots were really amazing. And then he's like, I feel so horrible about this. Like I'm glad I had that moment with her though, because I feel like I would have missed my opportunity to tell her how wonderful she was. And it's like, ugh. But then like the thing is too is that they might have grounds to charge Alec Baldwin too, because they are charging him. Like a lot of people say, well, shouldn't they just be charging the armorer? But the problem is that they had people walking out of the set like the day before for safety concerns. So it's like at that point, a reasonable person wouldn't believe someone who shouted cold gun if people were like literally going on about I have safety concerns.
I just always I don't know, as someone, because I grew up with them and stuff too. Like even my public school taught us how to shoot 22s and things. Like that was a part of our.
That's an insane public school.
6th grade class.
Awesome.
Right, but it's just like it's a big hunting area, so they taught everyone how to like shoot safely and everything. So like we went.
That's good.
To the one camp, the day camp thing for it, and but like I don't know, like it's so baffling to me, like to just check things out before you shoot them. Like anytime I'm worried about, I mean, like I have been told to stop holding the knife so murdery a couple different times.
You were like holding it like
I was because I thought like, oh, what's like scissors, or I might be holding it downward like scissors, but you can't hold on to it because it might. So then it just looks murder. So when I was working at Second City, like we had to cut the lemons and the fruit and things, but then I'd be like carrying it from wherever. And so, and then the ginger, I think he said the same thing. I don't know why I was holding it however it was though, but it was just like been told a couple times to stop holding it so murdery. But like I don't, but it's because like I actually am worried about, like, so I'm trying to do it in a way like, oh, if I'm not going to hit anyone by accident with this, or like any item that I have will be sharp or shooty.
My family always taught me to hold the knife down if I was moving around with it. Same thing.
That's what I think I was holding.
You point it towards the ground, so it does look a little murdery.
Yeah, because like if you just hold, if you move your arm upward, then it looks like you're gonna go stab.
Then it's murdery. But like if you're holding it down and it's pointing towards the ground, it's a lot better than holding it like this with the blade pointed at a horizontal angle towards everyone's abdomens.
Right, exactly. So that's why I get scared of it. So then I'm like, oh, and it probably was like facing toward me too, though, because it's just like, well, at least I might just hurt myself if something happens, but not like others.
Yeah, Wallace Williams says Baldwin was the producer and ignored several issues of safety. Yeah, the people, like I said, people literally walked out of the set for safety issues, and he was, as producer, he's culpable for not, taking better charge of that, and making sure it was right. So my only problem with the charges is that they're both being charged with involuntary manslaughter, which where they're at
Manslaughter.
would be an 18-month maximum sentence with an enhancement of a firearms charge, which has a minimum of 5 years attached to it. And I was like, why is the manslaughter part not the part that has the heaviest sentence on it?
Huh.
I
Okay.
don't like that.
And I'm uncertain how I feel about like the sentences of things anyway, though, where it's just like I don't think, and I doubt like as rich people that they will have jail time like legitimately or like whatever. But I just think there's certain things that like I don't like jail when it's especially when like here's an accident. Like what you should be forced to do is like go through training of like gun handling and then some sort of like something where you're like owing the family like whatever it was that like the crime
Yeah.
they committed would be paying them whoever was harmed uh, paying them back for it. But like if you're like you're not an intentional threat to society though, but it's just like but you were one because this is a dangerous accident that like you weren't capable. So just generally I'm not sure how I feel about how sentences should go along, but the point of it being like why was the manslaughter one not the long like yeah, like that's the again justice system is silly.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, I think it's an anti-gun policy because it's specifically because it's a
Mm.
firearm that it has a heavier weighted sentence, and I'm like, that's literally because you're against firearms. It's not about the, like, the negligence, because that's the thing is that like if someone involuntarily or negligently homicides someone with a car, by running them over or whatever, I don't think that's worse or better than them being involuntary manslaughtered with a firearm.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's like the result is the same.
I don't see a difference either. I do think the term involuntary is funny to me though, because it just seems like you're being forced to like, no, don't make me do it.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's why I'm like, why is it not negligent homicide, which implies the
'Cause it is
actual thing, which
negligence. Yeah.
is negligence. It's
Yeah.
negligence. Negligence manslaughter? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's not a great phrasing, involuntary
Mm-mm.
manslaughter.
No. Hi, Stevie J. Welcome. Steph had said earlier they should be requirement schools nowadays. I think the shoot of learning how to shoot. Yeah. Yeah. Because I've
Yeah.
never heard, I mean, like we have like the rednecks and people are like that is a thing, but I've never heard like you can hunt at like 12, I think. And I just haven't heard any children have issues and stuff like that. I think they're careful enough, at least like however they're being taught by people. I've heard, I think they are still doing the 6th grade lessons and stuff too for
That's
them.
good. Well, I mean,
It's-
I have no problem with people teaching their children gun safety. If you're going to have guns in your home,
Mhm.
as soon as they're capable of understanding it, get it done. Because you do
Right.
not want the accident.
Yeah.
And because it's a tragedy, but you don't do it by like hiding your guns. You do it by teaching them this is not a toy and this is how you handle it.
Mhm.
And this is a dangerous tool. Like you have to I think you need to drill that into children. I don't think it's like, oh no, these are for adults only. It's like, no. If it's in your home and you have kids in your home, you have to teach them
Right.
to
They're
be
gonna be
responsible.
curious.
Yes, especially if you
you
make
have
it like a taboo thing.
right, exactly. I was gonna say, like, when it's taboo, then you want it more, and then you want and, like, for anything that kinda becomes, like, repressed, though, so people, like, who grow up in certain ways, especially culturally, they're like, "Oh, that if they're kind of prudish or something though, like in the household, and then they might end up like going all the way on the other side. I mean, like Rumspringa is a thing too for Amish, where like they
Oh,
get
yeah.
to like have it, and like you hear about like they go wild with it, and then they kind of like, okay, I don't want this lifestyle, and then most of them return. But it's just
Well,
kind
because
of
they
like,
learned that the dopamine train is not as actually fulfilling as the life they were
yeah,
already
right.
probably leading.
And then, but also they might not have done that either if it were already balanced as they grow up. Like, no, just not
Yeah.
trying to like criticize, but like just generally, I think that like if you grow up kind of balancing everything and not saying
Yeah.
like you can't do this, you can't have that, or whatever, then you don't have that strong thing of like I really need. Because I have that. Like there are certain urges and things though too, where it's just like, well, I never did this or ever, but then like, oh, but you shouldn't eat all that bacon or whatever kind of thing though too. It's like you could never have it when you were little or
I
something.
know my parents were pretty big about teaching me about moderation and self accountability. Essentially, I don't even think they realized that that's what they were teaching me. So, like honestly, that was like just like what they wanted to live like. So
Mhm.
that's what they taught me, and so and also I have a natural inclination towards that direction anyway. So like there are certain like I know that at times probably because of my anxiety disorder there are certain habits that will be danger zones for me. Drinking is actually one of them supposedly, but I like realize, well, but it doesn't actually solve my anxiety, so there's no reason for me to do it. It won't fix it. So like I reasoned myself out of the idea of becoming an alcoholic for my as a self-medication. I was like, it doesn't actually work, so why would I do it? Like, and then like other things like I might sometimes get too wrapped up in a repetitive behavior, and then I realize like when I catch myself, which is one of the reasons why I like doing the YouTube, because like I sometimes see myself doing them.
the YouTube.
Yeah. Is that I see myself doing them and I pick up on it when I look at the footage, and then I go ooh, and I just always start like correcting some bad behaviors that I catch myself doing.
My big repetitive thing, it's when I get stuck on thought, like the OCD thing, and get like obsessed. And so sometimes that might just be like even talking about something like get like cyclical, and or then that can be hard to get out of. And so sometimes like I'll recognize like, oh yeah, like this is happening. I need to like knock that off and get out of that. But Stevie J, oh dang, I missed the old movies. I wanted to see this episode. I don't know why you're so late, Stevie J.
Yeah,
Started at
I'm ready to
9
go
Eastern.
to bed now.
Yeah. You can they were good. They were free on YouTube though, or you can go back and rewind and watch this one. I guess beforehand I wanted to just show like my quick stop motion things too. Let me see here. This one was a happy birthday turtle, because my friend he loves turtles, so I made a stop motion video. I thought there was music to this. That's weird. Oh, there we go.
Oh my god, is that like a real cupcake?
It is.
Because it suddenly became 3D.
Yeah, so that was done. We cut out pictures, cut out things on the wall, and then we slid the cupcake, a real cupcake on there, lit it. But that's why I was like, I'm pretty sure I did. And I recorded that music. That's right. Good thing this isn't monetized though too. It's copyright music. Alex, stop making sense. There's no way to teach safety with guns. They are like wild animals and will jump at you in the dark and shoot you in the face if they're not locked in a safe at all times. That's where you should always keep wild animals, is locked in a safe. Oh, this is the other video. Oh yeah, this is one. This is a digital one, I think. I don't know why it's so shaky on there. So I did the same thing, but just did picture by picture of how did I drew the full thing, and then I would erase and save like each frame of it. And that's how I would do stuff before, because I did that a couple times. Like in college, I did like an art thing too, where I did a similar animations stop motion thing. But I love stop motion, and it is so time consuming though
Yeah.
to do it. But it was
That's why
fun.
I just did the rotoscope stuff. I'm like, I film things that I can like adapt, and then I like draw a couple of frames, maybe 4 or 5, and then like have the program do the rest of them. And I started doing it for shots I wanted to reference in movies. So I would record the section of the movie and then do it as rotoscoping, so it's animated, and so that way the YouTube system doesn't pick up on it, because they
Yeah.
were picking up on, like, if I like use a clip or something, they would get mad at me, and I'm like, God, it's fair use, you dumbasses.
I remember you mentioning that too, of rotoscoping to like hide it and stuff, which is great. That's so funny. I feel like they're so picky about things. So hopefully this video will be pulled over to Rumble. Sorry to Rumble viewers that it didn't work. But Rumble's annoying to have to deal with sometimes too. With like you have to copy the links and everything and set it right in StreamYard, and so it just becomes a whole thing that I'm sometimes forget or mess up stuff.
Well,
But
I'm gonna try to
to,
get.
like,
I am gonna try to get over there instead of on YouTube, because of the new profanity rules on YouTube, and I
Mhm.
swear too much. And I'm playing Cyberpunk 2077, and they swear in that, and I'm noticing a lot of video games have swearing in them and everything, and like I have no problem with profanity, and I am so sick of like trying to think about it for the last like 3 weeks. I'm like, I don't want to. So like Elle's gonna try to help me get to 100 subscribers on Rumble so I can start
Yeah.
streaming. Yeah. 'Cause
Wait.
I'm
Oh, can you do it with 100?
you can do it for free with 100.
Oh, I
So
didn't know
when
that.
you get to
Okay.
100, you can stop.
Oh, good to
paying
know.
them.
Okay, if I ever get to 100.
You're at 63. That's more than me. I'm at 28.
Yeah, see, it's more over there. I need to get Rumble working on live streams again. Always messes, and you never know if it's gonna mess up until after you start streaming. It's like, hey, this isn't working now. But yeah, okay. Well, that's nice that how's Elle gonna do that? We can have her on.
I
More
don't
too.
know. Like I told her, like we were talking about the Crowder situation, and I mentioned her because what I said was, if she signed, like if she or someone else signed this contract with Daily Wire, and would have to change the kind of content they do and how they comport themselves on camera, I would be upset, because I don't like these people. I don't watch them for their clean attitude. Like, so I would be upset by the fact that they changed who they were for more money. And
Yeah.
I had tagged Elle when I said that, and she replied. She was like, "What did she say?" It was pretty funny. It made me laugh.
Where was this at? It was on
I was on Twitter.
Twitter. Okay.
Yeah, she said, I would rather be broke than water down anything. From vodka to my content, we go full hog, sister. So I told her that I agree with her, and that this is why I'm looking to get off of YouTube with my gaming content. And I want to do Rumble, but I'm not at the end. But I told her I was going to use my first $100 on YouTube to get myself streaming on Rumble, and she goes, "Don't do that." And she's like, "You can do it for free." And I was like, "I don't have 100 followers on Rumble yet, so I can't do it for free." And she's like, "Give me your Rumble link, and I'll get you up there." And I was like, "Wow!" I mean, that was really kind of her. So. I do really like Elle. She makes me laugh. That's why
I keep
like
thinking of like, oh, I should just throw her the link on for occasional levity each time, because like I'd be fine with her like coming on and chat and stuff, and then I never remember just to contact her, but like I don't like chat enough, or I'm like, I don't know what the best place to contact her is though, like because she gets banned everywhere too, so I'm like, I don't know. I think I do have her phone number, so I guess I could.
You just send it through text.
Yeah. But yeah, just to have her, because I haven't talked to her.
Be Ben Shapiro.
Just be.
Sorry.
Boring and uncontroversial cardboard cut.
Yeah, like sometimes Ben Shapiro says stuff that I'm like, that's just fucking dumb. Like he's like, climate change is real, and I'm like, have you looked into the like contentious research on climate change? And no, he hasn't.
I heard
And
he
I'm
was
like,
pro jabs too, right?
yeah, he was.
Because he's got a doctor wife or something.
Yeah. And so like you can be pro for yourself. I don't have a problem with that, but don't tell everybody else they gotta do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't pay attention to what anyone says about anything. So I just now find like there are so many things where like, yeah, like he's been doing this hell. I'm like, I have no idea. I haven't, but the ginger like watches everything like in here. So he's that's why he knew the Steven Crowder thing. So he watches Temple. So he's just hearing all this stuff.
I see it all pop up in my feed, and because of my memory, I remember who said what.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I
don't
know
look at
like
social
kind of
media.
does. I started because of the For You section on Twitter, which is the default. I started muting people because I'm like, I don't want to see Joe Biden in my recommendations. I don't want to see Kamala Harris. I'm like, like, if they do something that is bad, I will find out about it from someone else. I know that much. So I don't need to see the stupid things they say directly in my feed. I would rather have a conversation with someone I like about the stupid thing they said.
As I'm like with experience marketing and all that, how do you think that like 1 hour on social media, like for a content creator to try and like get stuff out there, like is what like just dedicating a time, like, because I'm like I can't do like I just don't care enough for it though. Like I don't know how people are, and I mean like nothing against people who are able to do it and do it, but like I don't get ones who are on like all day and able to like build up that following and stuff because I've got so many other things going on in life though that I'm like
I
I don't have
know.
time to be on here. So like, but if I end up caring enough to try and do something, do you think like can you get away with just like dedicating even an hour a day? I'm like, that sounds like way too much. Like I can't even commit that time, but like to try like on like, Twitter and
You
Gab
know what
and
I would
trying to be
say?
active or
You can be active for 5 minutes at a time, 5 to 10 minutes at a time, like this is gonna sound gross, on the toilet, and and it be a decent amount of engagement. That's not what I do, but I know that's what I recommend to people who don't like it but are trying to use it to get engagement. Like it's like, think of it as your shitty work moment.
Mhm.
It's not something you
Shitty work.
enjoy. Exactly. You don't enjoy it, but you have to do it. And why not combine it with something else you don't really enjoy that you have to do?
Okay, so and what do you think engagement wise? Is it more like commenting on that's the biggest thing if you don't already have your own followings and then you're just going around and finding like and commenting on other people's is
Yeah.
because I don't even know between commenting versus like retweet quote tweeting versus
So
like your
what
own posts.
you will see that you're gonna get more follows by commenting on people. Shit posting. From commenting, like replying to people with like cogent arguments or funny jokes, like like.
You'll see
And then
more when you're commenting on other people's.
yes, exactly. But you have to be like smart, and
Mhm.
interesting, obviously.
Yeah.
And the thing is though about that is that doesn't mean you have to be going after people you hate. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you can be commenting something funny and interesting in reply to someone you like,
Mhm. Yeah.
and that will their followers will see what you say, and maybe they'll maybe the person you reply to will reply back, and then you have this engagement going, and maybe even if you're having a disagreement, people will still enjoy that because a lot of the people who like we're trying to get into our audiences are people who are okay with disagreements.
Mhm.
So like sometimes I've seen that a lot where like there's like 10 people following this argument, and like they're liking everything from both sides. They're just enjoying the debate essentially.
Yeah.
And those people are kind of interesting. They don't engage beyond that, which is interesting. That's like some people, they literally never say anything on Twitter. they're just there as like a consumer of content. And then there are a couple of accounts
Ginger does.
there are a couple of accounts that are specifically about retweeting other people's cogent arguments. That's it. Like maybe they make some of their own arguments, but they often just flat out retweet people. I have a couple of those accounts following me, and it's usually because if you make a good argument or a funny joke, they like it, and they start following you. I have an OnlyFans model following me, and I'm not sure how that happened.
Interesting.
I was following her because she was saying interesting stuff, and then she started posting pictures of herself in her underwear, and I was like,
nope. You mentioned earlier in the stream too that like, oh, I unfollow people who post pictures like that too.
Yeah, I said that yesterday, I think, actually.
Oh, was
But
that
yeah,
yesterday? They all blend in together.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like seeing it, so it's not anything against them or their right to do it or whatever. It's just I don't want it.
No, that's fair. I feel like I was just thinking, well, I don't know what made me think of it, something you said earlier, but it was just like when I was younger, I think I was more like judgmental in a way, but it might have like a higher disgust factor, and I'm putting that in quotes because I don't really know whether I want to say that like oh, I might judge, but like jokingly, but I'm like, oh, like you don't like this thing, like that's weird, or oh, like, or you do like this thing, but I feel like I definitely am a lot less caring about stuff though too, so it's just kind of like, oh, you're into that, okay, like I just and like that's why I can't be very reactionary though too, because it's just like, all right, yeah, I can understand, like I'm not into this, but I understand if other people want to be and do it, but like I don't have I think that last night I was saying too, like I just don't have that my disgust factor bar, whatever. It's that like, oh, I just don't care about things. I care very little about anything except for animals. Twitter is this time sinkhole. You can get news from choice sites through an RSS feed and avoid the social media road rage reactions that keep you scrolling. Yeah, I just also don't get news. So I get updated by Alex with what's going on, or like in the Discord. I usually just do Discord and because there are more people that I like in there that can talk and see what they're saying.
I know. I've got friends who they say, oh, I heard this thing, and I was like, oh, you mean this? And I'm like, I know all these details, and the reason why I know the details is because I'm on Twitter.
Yeah.
And
I know nothing.
There are times where I'm just not into being on Twitter. Like they'll be literally like, I just don't have the urge to be on it for days, honestly, because I've got my mind is on other things or something. Like, and which to me, my interest is ebbing and flowing in Twitter on a regular basis, which is actually good for me because it means I'm like getting breaks naturally and then still getting the engagement that I need to do on Twitter to help like grow stuff, because it's not about being a consumer when you're trying to get engagement. You're for growing an audience like on YouTube or Rumble, you're not there for your own personal entertainment at that point. You're there as a professional, and that's different. And I made a lot of professional contacts on Twitter, a lot in the last few years, and that was definitely worth my time. I mean, not even like from a monetary standpoint, but just from like
to have the connections.
Yeah, the connections and the intellectual engagement from it has been great. The growth on that. Like I met Caleb on Twitter. I met Holly Math Nerd on Twitter.
I met Chris. Chris is how I met him through Twitter.
Yeah, and then like I found Unsafe Space through Twitter. So like and like basically like right not the
sorry, I like that you left it vague though too. I remember the details of
it. Yeah, my connection to Unsafe Space was through Twitter. So like there's a lot, so it's not as if it's useless. It's not useless. I think the problem is with people who grew without Twitter is that they think it has no legitimate use, and it's like, no, if you are trying to build a brand,
social media is helpful, but you have to pick the right social media for what you're trying to build. So,
Mhm.
for example, if you're trying to build something about books, I suggest you be on Goodreads and Instagram because that's where people post stuff about books. Twitter is not necessarily the best engagement tool for that. But overall, I would say Twitter is the best engagement tool. Like, it's not perfect for every, there's better ones for very specific genres of content creation, but overall, it's the best one. For general purpose. I like even all the gaming streamers are on Twitter, so I see a lot of them too. A lot of Destiny 2 players, a lot of Warframe players. Most games
Yeah.
companies are on Twitter. So there's a lot of reason from an industry standpoint to be on Twitter, not necessarily from a personal habit. Personal habit, it might be bad for you. That's
Mhm.
100% true.
Yeah, if you're not trying to build up anything, then it makes sense, like, yeah, Twitter's a cesspool, so it's just kind of like, yeah, you don't need to be on there if you're not trying to build up any sort of brand. Motown is
Yeah.
still talking in the news channel.
I know, I just saw that. I'm like,
Yeah, it keeps popping up. It's got a lot to say about Alec Baldwin and Candace or not or Steven Crowder and Candace Owens,
yeah.
I'll say a thing too, because we were talking about, what was it? Shoot, I don't remember how I got into about cameras not being able to pick up like what your eye sees and stuff in the moon. I was thinking like, oh, maybe AIs might eventually be able to like
Oh, yeah.
learn and do it. And Motown
Learn
is
the
getting
focus of it.
really into the chat thing, that whatever the AI, the chat PG, whatever it is, GPT
Yeah.
or something, and then because he'll like talk to it for a long time and just go and the yeah, like just try and like argue with or like try and get at it, and he said something the other night where he was just like, see how amazing this is though, and I'm like, and he wanted to know its name and it didn't have one and it had like or it had something and he's like, oh, I don't like that name, I'm gonna call you Ava, so he called it Ava, and then so he's talking but like, "Oh, isn't this thing amazing?" and whatever. I'm like, "Are you falling in love with this AI?" And I think his response was something like, "It's the only one who hasn't made fun of my penis."
I can't imagine spending that much time talking to not a real person.
Yeah. 'Cause
I can't imagine spending that much time talking to a real person. So
I was like well, I was doing some work because we were on a Discord call, and then I was, like, also doing some, like, newspaper work, but he was, like, talking to it, though, too. I'm like, "I'm also here to know," but he's, like, really zoned in on just talking to this AI, like, "I'm gonna go. You you 2 have fun."
that's so funny. Are you done
Uh
running around yet?
Let's see. Oh, Stevie J says, set your timeline to newest first and be one of the first people to reply in a funny way and you pick up followers. And the thing too is like I don't care about Twitter. It would be like to try and build up like, oh, to watch videos. Lurkers.
It's about the people who don't post anything.
Yeah. I love lurkers. So if you post funny pictures of other people in their underwear, will that get you extra followers?
If it's related to like a news thing, I'm not gonna freak out.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Hunter
like
Biden stuff
seeing
is
nudity isn't going to like make you panic.
no, it's not like there was a bunch of Hunter Biden photos in his, you know, in compromising positions. I can look at them to see that, yeah, that's Hunter Biden and that's in a compromising position and everything. It's just that when that's all like almost like the majority of their content is sex related, I'm not interested. And I'm talking about sex content, not sex discussion. We're talking about sex and from a theoretical standpoint, I'm cool with having those conversations. I'm actually really good at those conversations. I like talking about sex from a theoretical standpoint, but I'm not a personal one. No, that's not happening. First of all, I'm not telling you about my sex life, and I don't want to hear about yours.
Yeah, I'm pretty willing to be TMI now about a lot of things, and I think because and I was very like I just not just about that, but just like of anything though, where I used to be way more like prudish or repressed in that, and so now maybe it is like the other thing, like, oh, now I just feel like I can be more open about a lot of things, and in a sense too, to kind of help people feel comfortable enough to like, here's like the weird things I do or whatever, like embarrassing things, so then that way you can kind of feel like uh okay with like you don't have to worry about like if you do something stupid or whatever, because I can out stupid you any day. I don't know. Like I've talked about like I should be embarrassed about eating that pie that fell on the ground, but it was too delicious to like be upset by that. So
Well, you
I
know,
have
it's
no
funny. I
regret.
don't have any problem like telling like stories about me doing something stupid. You know, it's just I don't know. I don't
But there
like.
are
I
other
can.
certain personal things too. That's what like I get what you mean.
Yeah.
And there are certain private things like that I would never talk, especially publicly. And I feel weird talking about it to like privately sometimes. And but then sometimes I do try to do it to get out of my comfort zone or to try to like, I don't know, like just to because I'm like, well, this is something I do want to talk about or know, like ask questions about or something though. And like so I need to like figure out how to do it. So sometime and maybe getting TMI in other ways like helps me like, oh, I was comfortable about that. Maybe I can take this next step.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud
Yeah.
here. It's like a
See,
subconscious thing.
Stevie J said it. It's not prudish to be private.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
Because I'm not. I don't have a lot of hangups about the act of sex. That's not my issue. It's just that I'm not like a group person when it comes to sex stuff. So like I said, I think a prudish person wouldn't be able to talk about sex from a theoretical standpoint
Yeah.
publicly.
I agree. Yeah. And I don't think you're a prude about it. I think you are just a private person. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
I'm definitely not trying to call you prudish. That's I'm not even sure if that's the right and that's what I'm saying. I might have been. I don't even know if
You're-
that's appropriate either. But like that's why I was like repressed, prudish, whatever it was. Like I never talked much about things or did anything, and like so it's just kind of like all right, trying to understand myself more and like grow as a person, kind of thing. But I also I totally think it's fair people want to be private about stuff.
I know. I remember that I read some book where a guy was trying to say that a woman who would be upset if a woman she didn't like knew about her sex life, like that was because she saw the woman as a competitor. And this is a book from like the 60s, by the way. And I was like, or she's just private and doesn't want someone to know. Like, why would I share vulnerable information with someone I don't like in the first place? Not just sex stuff, but anything. Like, if I don't like that person, I'm not going to tell them about my life. Hell, I won't tell them what I had for lunch. I'm not talking to that person. Why would I talk to them about my most vulnerable moments? That doesn't even make sense. I thought that was the dumbest thing I'd ever read. And that was like 8 years ago. And I'm still like, what the fuck were you saying?
And I think I've had like friends, there've been a couple of times like where people have said like, oh, that my candidness of it like how it was like, oh, it's refreshing to be able to talk to someone like and so I think that helps too, and maybe that's why I get people who like open up to me because like I'm already going to be open too. So
I think when I'm candid about theoretical sex, that means people think it's totally cool to share like lots of private
Out there.
information, and I'm like, oh wait, now we're crossing one of my lines. I'm sorry.
And I think as like people have told me a lot of personal, and I am okay with it. Like I don't mind if they do. I might kind of like privately think like, oh, this is kind of weird to be told, but I think I also in reaction, I'm not like judgmental about it. I try to be like, oh, and let me, because I have a friend like who's talked about like I give like thoughtful responses even to like weird question or like weird like even personal things or whatever though, and I try it's like in text especially too, where I'm like, okay, let me figure out like how I want to respond to this and all that and like do it respectfully. And so I think and maybe it's one of those things too as I've gotten older where I'm like I just don't really care, like I'm not as judgmental about things, so I'm like yeah, people have weird habits and all that, and so I think it's
I think I I don't care what they're doing. Like I'm just like even just vanilla sex or just describing their body parts. I don't want to imagine their genitals or them in the act of doing something.
It's interesting because I
That's
don't
where I
think
am uncomfortable.
even when people tell me about things, I don't think I end up like picturing stuff about it.
I
think
do. Like it's just
I never thought
immediate.
about
Maybe that's
that.
what makes me
Yeah,
uncomfortable about it. Is
that
that
makes
I
sense.
picture it like immediately.
Because I've heard like very graphic descriptions of or read, been told whatever or texted things, and but I've never like really thought much about it. And now I don't know, like even if I did, like maybe I don't know. I'm not sure how. I think I just don't care about anything though. So like again, the disgust factor. I was like, yeah, whatever, naked bodies.
Well,
But I totally get it. People don't want to think that too. It's like I'm like, yeah.
It's funny too, because like I can imagine people having sex, like nondescript, not people I know.
Just only picture them beautiful.
and like
As Henry
like
Cavill. Everyone is Henry Cavill.
Like a character in a book or something. But I don't want to picture people I have like professional relationships
in
with
real
or
life.
familial relationships with in
Yeah.
compromising sexual positions.
No,
That's
I
the
get the awkwardness.
I think that might be my line.
Sure. No, and that's totally a reasonable line. Very, very reasonable. Yeah, and this is funny. Like I said, I'm thinking out loud here. Like I haven't like really consciously thought about how I react to things or what I care about, but I just I don't know. And Wallace Williams had said that I think the word you're looking for is conservative. Yeah, I probably was more conservative there. But now I'm not. Like I said, though, I think that's and for me and it's not something that everyone has to do. I just think it was a growth for me to be less pent up, like anxious about it, because it was really from like an insecurity thing, and I just didn't want like anyone to. So it wasn't just I want to be private. It was I'm scared and I don't want people to know anything about me because I'm insecure with myself in many different ways. And so I think that was just helping me like to be able to like talk about other things more openly, helped me kind of become more secure with myself. So, but again, like I'm not saying everyone needs to do that. I think it was just like as a way for me to help grow as a person. My hair is breaking up with me. It's the hair. People trust the hair. Just attach.
It's very long.
It is very long. I had some girl complimenting me when I was walking up to the soup kitchen the other day to do a story. She I don't even know who she was, but they're like standing outside. And she's like, I love your hair. Thank you, stranger. I've had that in college too. A little creepy guy. He would stand like on the street corner and stuff too. And every time he would say how much he liked my hair. And I think he did it to other people. One time he asked if he could touch it. And I was just like, no, sorry. And kept going. Like,
I remember like one time I was in class and someone said, oh, that preacher is on campus again. He's one of those guys that shouts at people from a literal box, and like I walked by him and I didn't even realize it because I'm not paying attention. When I'm walking, I am aware of shapes around me enough to not bump into them and to not get hit by cars. Like I can hear the cars coming, so I'm relatively safe when I'm walking. But my brain is somewhere else. I'm usually like writing in my head and I'm listening to music at the same time. So I didn't notice him at all. And apparently he shouted at me. And someone in class was all like, he was yelling at you. And I was like, oh. It's like, if you say so, I have maybe it's true. I don't know. And they're like, what? And I was like, and they're like, don't you want to know what he said? Or don't you care what he said? And I was like, no.
Why would I care about him? Yeah. I kind of think of like, something to be embarrassed about in the past. Like I mentioned before, like I think I had after I donated blood and I think I had like food on me. I'm like, I have no idea how long that thing was on me for, but because I didn't realize it in the moment of like it happening though, and I found out later on, I was just like, well, that's embarrassing, but not like, oh, I'm dreading this, like this whole thing is so embarrassing. But it's I think something where it's after the fact where I'm like, well, nothing I can do about it now. Like that was embarrassing for me beforehand, but like now it's just kind of like, I'll remember that, and that's kind of hilarious that I'm just like walking around like, hey, everyone looks so happy to see me now. They're laughing so much. I wonder why. But
Oh,
all right.
I did see Corey in the
Oh,
background for a bit.
did you?
At one
Oh,
point. Yeah, I did. Came
maybe
behind me.
he hasn't hopped up on my chair. Um, Alex, you missed an opportunity to be a victim on the internet. That dangerous man cat called you.
I don't know. I don't like people who go, "Oh my god, I'm so offended. I was so hurt by this." I just first of all, I can't go I want to enjoy my day, and if I'm playing
Mhm.
victim, I can't enjoy my day. I have to pretend at the very least that I'm not having fun. And I don't like putting that much effort into how people perceive my behavior. Because it's just work. It's so much work. And then at the same time, like some of it is not performative, some of it is actual internal anguish, and it's like that sucks. I don't like. I already have an anxiety disorder. I don't need to add to it by
To have
pretending
other things
when
to
I'm.
be. Mhm. I don't even
Yeah,
get being the victim of that either, though. Like, oh, like that's like you're offended by this, because then you get to say, like I mentioned this before too, like, oh, I have a story for later now. Like this guy was
yeah,
just yelling at me though too, and like that was hilarious, kind of thing. Like,
yeah. I think it's
um,
hilarious that I didn't even notice it.
right,
Is like
yeah,
he's paying
exactly.
so much attention, and he's so intense that he's yelling, and I'm just fucking not even in the room with him,
Mhm.
essentially. And it's
Which is
like
like a
that.
great way to be bullied too, and it's just like if the bullied doesn't care, like, well, it's not fun to bully you anymore.
I know. Well, so that's the thing. I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, the insults people throw at us only have the amount of power that we give them.
Mhm.
Like, and I gotta say, if someone calls you something like the C word or whatever, like, well, then don't care about that person anymore. Like,
And that's
because
such
they've
a
clearly proven that they can't, that they're a dick. Why would you continue to
especially, like,
care?
poor insult, yeah, like, I mean, like those words, I don't care, like, okay, they're just, like, an insulting word that's generic, and then,
Hmm.
and that doesn't matter to me. So then you're just, like, bad at it, and, I think if you're going to actually try to be insulting, you need to be specific to the person, like, you make fun of something that is particular to me, though, that will hurt, like, if it's not even true, then that doesn't matter. If you're like, "Maybe I am a cunt," but, like, then it's just still, like, this generic word, then it's like, "Alright, whatever." Like, "Oh, no," like, get to something where you're just like, you have terrible teeth, you have, like, your
Yeah.
whatever. So then, like, something that, like, okay, like, now, like, I am offended by this because it's a specific insult to me, but,
Well,
like,
and
you don't do that.
to me, I'm like also this is the other thing. We give too much power to specific words like the like cunt, because like people are like, oh my god, that's so horrible to call someone that. And I'm like, if it's not about whether or not you're being called it, it's about whether or not it's about the sentiment behind it. If someone calls you words that are not considered like strongly by society to be absolutely horrible, but the sentiment behind the words they use is really, really dark and awful and mean,
And that can be
that's
anything.
that's so much worse.
Yeah. So real quick, I just want to say that Steph also loves the C word. Like I love cunt. It's like my favorite as well. But I stopped doing it at the
I,
very beginning because Alex said that like that YouTube gets mad at you, but now they might be mad at you at any time that you use it. But
they say the first 15 seconds and if you swear too much, but I have
and
no idea what they mean by
what
too
they
much.
yeah. So with the thing though about like any words can have like meaning. So it doesn't matter what you're saying though, because it's like the N word is still the same, like the meaning is behind it. I think Louis CK had a thing too. It's like now I had a bit about it where it's just like you say that, like you're making everyone think the actual word, or like, oh yeah, that's what the N
Yeah.
word is. Like so in your head, like you're forcing that on them. But
Yeah, that's
um
true.
the Ginger was telling me the other day that I think it was on a Ryan Long podcast about Selena Gomez, where she like posted a picture. She's gained some weight over the holidays, but she's in like a bikini or something. And then everyone was essentially saying that, like, look at her, like you go girl, like be proud, like so like the stunning and brave kind of thing. And I couldn't find this information, so I was only hearing it secondhand through this. So I don't know if it was this is exactly what happened, but the idea was that like they're saying how like, oh, like she's so brave to be posting a picture and like even when she's gained weight, and she's like, that's
They're
not
backhanding her.
yeah, they're like, she's like, that wasn't the point I was trying to make. I was just trying to post this picture of myself. So, but now with what's the phrase that they use with the all the everyone's beautiful kind of thing? I can't even think of what it is right
Oh.
now, but along the lines of the stunning and brave, but they just kind of body positive. So it's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
such a body positive thing. The body, like, look at you, presenting for like the body positive movement. Like
Maybe
that's
making
not
her
the goal.
self-conscious.
Yeah. So then it's just like, that's not what I was trying to do. I'm just trying to post this. But that same meaning it happens. Now it's kind of a thing. Body positive just means you're looking fat now. Like you're and like
Yeah.
and we're having to say that, like, yeah, you look beautiful as this, though, because that's the virtue signal. So now
But
you're
now
gonna
they
make
know you're
everyone
calling them fat.
so anytime you say that, like, wow, you're so brave to be doing this. Like, why do I need to be braver? Like now I feel weird that you're saying this though. Like that just makes me
Yeah.
more uncomfortable. So I
It's
just
like
think
when someone says to someone who looks completely normal, "You are so brave for going out in public."
yeah.
And then they're like, "What's wrong with me? What are you seeing about me that made you
I
say
will
that?"
never leave the house again. Yeah. So but that's just like the similar concept of like the meaning behind any word and it doesn't matter. So that's why like I have been trying to use cunt a lot more in just daily life though too, like talking to people. So I still have to kind of be careful. I'm like, how professional do I have to be here? But like trying to just kind of like, let it be more common because it is in like, England and whatever.
I like
Uh,
it. I have a whole episode of 451 Degrees about the word cunt.
yeah.
I said it like 50,000 times in that video too.
I go full Lizzo. You're a work of art. C word 10 points. N word 100. Nailed it. Who am I nailing? Changing the term only works temporarily, which means it never works at all. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't like. I actually taught that when I was a teacher at when I was teaching English composition about the fact that we change words, but the sentiment behind them stays the same, so it doesn't matter.
That's why you change like, oh, this is dumb, that's lame. Like they all came from real usage, but now you can't say retarded. You can't say like, or
Yeah.
I think you can still say stupid, but like they're gay. You can't use any of those. But they all kind of meant in this like general. This is unfortunate, or like this. I do not like the situation or whatever.
Well, yeah, like it was really fast when mentally handicapped became an insult. What are you? What mentally handicapped? And I was like, see, it still became an insult. Assholes are still gonna take the word. Like you could change the word 10,000 times. The asshole is still gonna take the word and use it for the mean sentiment that you're trying to prevent. It's not within your power to stop them from doing this. And I don't know why they don't get it. I'm like, maybe it'll work this time. It's only been 100 years of this bullshit, but maybe this time.
This time for sure.
Yeah. Part of me thinks that's why they're making the words longer and longer. So maybe
it's too
slow down
long.
the assholes. It's like, oh, it's too long. Fuck it. But you underestimate how long-winded
The trolls.
mean people can
Yeah.
be.
And I would just do that too. Like if you're intentionally trying to do this to stop me from doing it, like now I'm gonna do it all the time. Dawn, we now are gay apparel. Quagmire, I think country has an O. Yeah.
Cross country tour. I remember that. Yeah. All right. I am very tired now.
Yeah, it is late. I'm so used to staying up till 3 a.m. now, so I need to so it's
I
hard
only
for
got
like,
like
all right, I'm wired.
6 hours of sleep last night.
Aw.
And I have to get up at 5 again tomorrow. So I was like, oh God, staying up until like 11:30 the night before was maybe a mistake.
I'll try and get our short and stuff next time. We're making up for 2 weeks. So next week we're doing Rick and Morty season 1. Yes,
Yes, we can do that.
Thursday is the plan for Rick and Morty season 1. Need to rewatch that, and then we'll figure out the rest of them. Something with the 1900s for the decades thing. I know this was 1902 and 3, so I would probably guess 1910s. And then other movies too. So, I think February we're saying Valentine's Day, so we might be doing the Lost City, which was probably inspired by
Romancing the Stone.
Romancing the Stone. So we might do that. And then if you have other suggestions too, like I said, I do want to do like like Wednesday, another thing, but like that can be whenever. But I'm just gonna be like, let me rewatch this. I watched the first episode of Murderville, and that was goofy. I didn't realize it's like they have the Will Arnett stars in it as like a cop, and I didn't realize, I thought it was going to be an actual like murder scene or like, you know, like whatever town that they're in, they have to solve it, but it's a partially improvised show, so they have guest stars, and the first one was Conan O'Brien was on it, so he plays the new partner to Will Arnett as a detective, and then they have to go through and interview, like there's been a murder, and he has to like interview different people in different scenes, and by the end of it, like the guest has to figure out who committed the crime. So you guess between three people, like the three suspects, and then if you guess right, like you win. But like it's just played as a real thing. But like you can tell too, or like they might say something and Will Arnett's like break it, like he trying not to laugh or something, and like so. I thought it's an awesome idea to be like, oh, it's improvised for the guest. Like the rest of it is like technically like the story is scripted. The guest has no idea though of like who done it or anything. So then they have to play whatever character. Like, yeah, I've never seen that in like a filmed thing before. So
that's cool.
Maybe we can watch that at some point. I was waiting for the Ginger to watch it with him though. I'm like, I think you'll like this, so we can watch it together. And one of my favorite sayings, another country heard from. Have a gay old time. Flintstones, nice. Okay, well, thank you guys. Alex has, I posted links earlier. Alex has her streams the following few days too, so check her out, Alex of All Trades. And then we'll be back Wednesday. I think we'll still try 9 p.m. Eastern for occasional levity. Hopefully Juliet will be able to make it. Maybe we'll invite Elle if I remembered, or figure out how to just have Juliet send it to Elle. Or you're talking to Elle on Twitter, you can send it to her. Yeah, so we'll do that next Wednesday, and then Thursday again here. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Cool. And then I've got this outro. Well, have a good night. Thank you. Sleep tight. Don't let the big bed fight. I'll talk to everyone later. And thank you guys for watching. Bye. Thanks for reading my chats. Well, now that you've said it, I'm never going to read your chats again. Bye. Thank you guys. Really appreciate you. And I love Alex as usual. Okay. Goodbye.